Fujinomiya Sujiro lies on the grass, shielding his eyes from the bright light as a distant voice suddenly urges him to wake up. He wakes up confused, realizing he is in an unfamiliar world and questioning his surroundings while gripping the sword beside him. Sujiro sits up and observes the empty horizon, noticing the vast land with nothing around and feeling uneasy. He suddenly hears a mysterious voice, stands alert, searching for its source while tension rises within his cautious mind. The voice reveals itself as his treasured katana, shocking Sujiro as he realizes the weapon can speak. Sujiro hugs his katana tightly, expressing relief after realizing his situation. Clearly, he recalls his death, concluding he was transported while remembering the condition about carrying the items he held. The katana introduces itself as Hutarumeru, surprising Sujiro again as he reacts to its unusual personality. Sujiro listens carefully as the katana reveals its true name, creating a stronger connection between them. He accepts the name with a smile, questioning it lightly and feeling more comfortable with the current strange situation. Sujiro reacts in shock, recognizing the name Hutarumeru and recalling its historical origin while questioning the unbelievable situation around him. The katana confirms its identity, teasing him slightly, while Sujiro realizes he now possesses a valuable legendary weapon. Sujiro introduces himself properly, promising partnership while considering naming another silent sword he currently carries. He gently holds the second blade, thinking carefully, then decides to name it Itsukurai with a calm expression. He smiles confidently, accepting the situation and declaring cooperation while realizing they might not be alone in this world. He confidently decides to move forward, responding positively while observing the surroundings and noticing a possible forest behind him. He considers the direction carefully, explaining that he would avoid forest areas due to potential unseen dangers lurking inside. Thinking logically, Sujiro decides to avoid unknown ecosystems until he understands this world and its threats better. Sujiro looks toward a distant hill, concluding that higher ground may provide better visibility and useful information about the surroundings. He begins moving forward confidently, determined to explore carefully while cooperating with his talking swords nearby. Sujiro runs uphill, feeling lighter while noticing unusual energy flowing through his body. He spots a distant light, becomes curious, and decides to investigate while sensing unfamiliar vitality compared to his previous life. Sujiro arrives quickly, confirming that his decision to avoid the forest was correct while preparing to continue exploring the area. He finds a signpost, reads the directions, realizes he understands the language, then heads toward the town despite the uncertain distance ahead. While walking longer, Sujiro grows tired, realizing that humans need food. He worries about survival if the situation continues. Sujiro continues along the path, avoiding the forest and conserving strength while staying cautious about possible hidden dangers nearby. Suddenly, Hutarumeru warns him, alerting Sujiro to a distant scream and causing concern within him. He reacts instantly, rushing forward quickly to reach the source of the scream despite uncertain risks. While running, Sujiro struggles to adjust his movements, realizing that lower gravity affects his balance and makes running difficult at first. Hutarumeru guides him, teaching proper running posture and helping Sujiro adapt and improve his movement within this environment. Sujiro runs forward rapidly, gaining speed and adjusting his body naturally while reacting quickly to the changing terrain ahead. He feels confident while running, realizing his body adapts well, while the katana acknowledges his quick improvement. Sujiro considers the danger, thinking about monsters and understanding that rushing into forest battles could lead to serious trouble. He follows the road carefully, recognizing that it leads outside the forest, while noting that the terrain provides a possible advantage during encounters. He notices a caravan ahead and hides cautiously, observing the situation quietly as a potential threat becomes clear nearby. Sujiro observes bandits surrounding a woman, realizing the dangerous situation as they attempt to force her into an unfair contract. He inspects the caravan quietly, identifying the woman as an important figure while searching for more information about the situation. Inside the caravan, he discovers injured people, confirming that the bandits have already attacked others and the situation is worse. Sujiro prepares silently, gripping his katana and understanding that eliminating the enemies quietly will be difficult yet necessary now. He decides on a strategy quickly, planning to strike the first target silently before the enemies notice his presence nearby. Sujiro prepares silently, focusing his mind and recalling combat experience while gripping his katana firmly before initiating a sudden attack. He moves swiftly toward the enemies, positioning himself carefully behind the group and ensuring his approach remains unnoticed by the surrounding bandits. One bandit senses his presence too late, reacting as Sujiro prepares a decisive strike from behind. The captured woman notices slight movement and becomes alert while Sujiro closes the distance with precise, controlled steps. Sujiro attacks instantly, startling the group and causing chaos among the bandits as the confrontation begins around the caravan area. He strikes swiftly, cutting an enemy down down and maintaining precision while continuing his movement through the surrounding hostile bandits. Sensing an incoming attack, he quickly dodges a spear, recognizing an ambush attempt and adjusting his stance for a counterattack. Sujiro continues forward, deciding to prioritize movement and leaving one opponent temporarily while focusing on the larger threat. The woman watches as Sujiro fights multiple enemies, witnessing his speed and strength against the attackers. As he eliminates enemies efficiently, he hears a warning and reacts quickly as another attacker approaches from behind. Sujiro strikes deeply into a bandit, delivering a fatal blow while maintaining composure and continuing the battle. He follows with a swift kick, pushing the enemy away and creating space while staying alert to surrounding threats. Sujiro spins and attacks multiple enemies, knocking them down with precise movements and controlled powerful strikes. With enemies falling, Sujiro approaches the woman, ensuring remaining threats are eliminated before lowering his guard. He stands protectively before her, holding his katana ready as she reacts to the sudden rescue. He faces the remaining bandits, standing before the woman and preparing to defend against their approaching attack. He observes, noting only 2 enemies left, while reinforcing his resolve to eliminate the threats and protect her. Sujiro kills the remaining robbers, showing no emotion and reflecting on his past shaped by earlier violence. His childhood memories reveal emotional detachment from living isolated and viewing others as objects rather than people. He returns to the present and protects the woman while a defeated bandit complains, realizing the situation has suddenly worsened. The remaining bandits panic, deciding that escape is impossible and fearing Sujiro's strength as they plan a final attempt. The leader orders an attack and rushes forward while Sujiro stands prepared, shielding the woman behind him. Sujiro questions the woman about whether there is any reason to spare the remaining enemies alive. He attacks decisively, cutting down an enemy and embracing his nature while realizing that this world allows him to act freely. The last bandit begs, but Sujiro approaches silently, awaiting judgment while maintaining his stance. The woman points out his lack of hesitation earlier and questions his understanding of others' lives. Sujiro reflects while watching an enemy fall, considering her words and maintaining a detached expression. Sujiro checks Hataru's condition, receives praise, and acknowledges support from Sakura while maintaining his composure. The woman questions him about talking to the sword while Sujiro considers collecting the weapons left by the defeated bandits. Sujiro retrieves Sakura from a fallen enemy, apologizing casually while showing a detached attitude toward his violent actions. They gather the weapons, discovering that the bandits lacked money, and discuss the usefulness and possible value of the collected items. The woman explains the weapon registration system, stating that ownership is required before using special abilities in this world. Sestina introduces herself, explaining the weapon rules while Sujiro understands and decides they should leave quickly. She mourns for the victims while Sujiro listens, not fully understanding her response. Sestina regains her composure and states that they should return the belongings, determined to honor the victims despite the harsh situation. They prepare the wagon together, planning a journey toward the nearby town to report the incident and continue traveling safely. Sujiro observes Sestina, noticing her appearance while maintaining his expression and continuing their journey forward. They stop traveling and decide to camp near the road as evening approaches. They prepare a simple meal together, setting a pot over the fire and creating basic food using the limited available supplies. Sestina serves food while Sujiro eats, reflecting on the unfamiliar moment after battle. Sujiro recalls past memories of violence from his previous life, contrasting it with the current situation. He listens to Hataru again while continuing to process the differences between his past and present life. He suddenly cries while eating and explains that it is his first time experiencing such comfort. He admits ignorance and asks Sestina to teach him about this world and its ways. Under the night sky, Sujiro reflects, beginning a new life with curiosity ahead. Sestina activates the status display and explains the identification system while Sujiro listens and tries to understand the concept. Sujiro reacts upon seeing the floating interface, confused by the technology-like system that appears before him. Sestina reads the information easily while Sujiro realizes that special skills allow comprehension despite his own lack of full understanding. They examine Sestina's status details, learning her abilities and roles, while Sujiro evaluates her usefulness in this world. Suddenly, an unexpected reaction occurs, startling Sestina as Sujiro moves abruptly and creating confusion between them. Sestina questions Sujiro about his reading ability while he explains the strange skill that allows effortless understanding. They sit and discuss the system as Sestina requests a demonstration and guides Sujiro to reveal his own status. Following instructions, Sujiro chants a command and focuses inward, successfully activating the display through an unfamiliar process. His status appears clearly, revealing abilities that surprise him and confirming his role as Magic Sword's master. Sujiro smiles while Sestina observes, realizing his potential and strength in this world. Sistina thanks Sujiro, observing his status display while he explains how the interface reacts to touch. She pronounces his name and asks about the acolyte role, seeking to understand his knowledge about the world. Sujiro listens, misunderstanding slightly, while observing Sistina's appearance and thinking about her abilities. He admits ignorance, prompting Sistina to prepare an explanation during their conversation. Sistina begins explaining the acolyte role, describing the training, purpose, and specialized duties within this world system. Sistina explains that she has mastered 3 key abilities while informing Sujiro about her role. She reveals a hidden skill, describing the special ability granted after becoming a master acolyte. Sujiro listens, understanding the concept and realizing that acolytes possess a valuable contract-based ability in this world. Sistina explains that a contract binds an acolyte to orders, granting power but imposing strict conditions and consequences. She recalls her past, explaining her contract arrangement and revealing the involvement of a wealthy family and the temple authority system. Sistina explains her past, describing the restrictions without a contract that prevented her from using abilities to protect others. Sujiro imagines her situation, realizing she endured danger helplessly, unable to save people before her eyes. Sistina continues explaining that acolytes cannot act freely, as they are bound strictly by contract limitations and rules. She emphasizes the consequences, explaining that breaking a contract removes power permanently, leaving her unable to help anyone afterward. Sujiro reflects, recognizing her burden, while she acknowledges his uniqueness and considers his role. Sistina confirms that Sujiro saw her ability while he tries to respond without misunderstanding the situation. She explains the wisdom ability, stating that it grants knowledge instantly when focusing on a specific subject. Sujiro understands his role better, realizing that a magic sword's master differs from a typical job while gaining additional abilities. He tests the skill by observing objects and receiving information directly, recognizing the usefulness of the ability in an unfamiliar environment. Sujiro activates the arm's expert skill. Examining Hataru, he discovers its abilities and realizes the weapon possesses extraordinary hidden power. Sistina analyzes Sakura's abilities, noting high stats and recognizes that both weapons possess exceptional qualities. She considers the absorption value, then Sujiro decides to test the ability by activating the special animate function on Hataru. Hataru responds, instructing Sujiro and guiding him through the process while preparing to manifest a physical form. Hataru transforms into human form. Sujiro and Sistina react at the sudden change. The sheath appears separately, completing the transformation and confirming Hataru's full manifestation while Sujiro processes the new situation. Hataru appears in human form. Sujiro observes her transformation. She embraces Sujiro closely while he remains confused by her physical interaction. Hataru declares a deeper connection, suggesting a relationship beyond weapon and user, leaving Sujiro uncertain. Sujiro reacts while Sistina watches, realizing the situation escalates strangely beyond normal understanding. Sujiro learned of a ritual that bonded souls. The girls reacted with curiosity. Hataru Maru dodged Sujiro's sudden approach, reminding him that this bond was not simple. Sakura requested a private talk, hinting at a secret she struggled to express. Hataru Maru asked for time alone to decide her place in Sujiro's journey. That night, Sujiro lay awake by the fire, wondering about tomorrow's important truth. Sujiro remained awake, overhearing Sakura's dream and fearing the group would soon split apart. Hataru Maru approached him, sensing his unease and placing a finger to silence his thoughts. Sujiro glanced back at Sakura, unsure if comforting one meant betraying the other's trust. Hataru Maru asked if he could not sleep. Her presence remained beneath the night sky. She embraced him, understanding the weight he carried from recent events. Hataru Maru confronted Sujiro about his past, questioning the lives taken before and after reincarnation. Sujiro answered that he never counted. He only cut through what blocked his path. She revealed that the last man he killed was his own father. Sujiro recalled the night of a break-in, a betrayal, and his father's knife-piercing flesh. Forced to act in self-defense, Sujiro struck first, ending a life that betrayed him. Sujiro explained his fear that his father could have stolen Hataru Maru and Sakura from him forever. Hataru Maru suggested they sleep together to offer comfort. Though surprised, Sujiro accepted, unsure how to respond to her closeness. She reminded him how often they had slept together when she existed only as a sword. Their closeness deepened. Hataru Maru asked if her warmth brought back memories. Sujiro answered yes. Sujiro spoke of the warmth and presence he remembered. Their closeness deepened as Hataru Maru closed the distance and allowed herself to be vulnerable with him. Tension grew. Her touch was curious, but Sujiro remained unsure. Hataru Maru reassured him with words, reminding him of their long bond and shared nights. She embraced him closely. The atmosphere grew silent. Sujiro tried to speak, but Hataru Maru assured him it was okay. She offered full acceptance, trusting him completely. In return, return, Sujiro embraced her tightly as years of shared history surfaced. Their closeness grew steady under the stars. Tension eased into intimacy through honesty and mutual care. Under the night sky, they shared a moment of closeness. Hataru Maru affirmed his place in this world with acceptance and reassurance. She noted his rare inner strength, a resolve that even ancient warriors once struggled to achieve. Wrapped in warmth, she described Sujiro as a man shaped by hardship. Nearby, Sistina overheard their moment. As Sujiro slept, Hataru Maru reflected on his loneliness and need for acceptance. She told Sistina that true partnership meant embracing everything. Sistina noted Hataru Maru's devotion. Sistina admitted she also cared deeply as new resolve formed within her. Hataru Maru sensed another heart had decided and welcomed Sistina into Sujiro's circle. At dawn, Sistina fetched water. Sujiro awoke, thanked her, and greeted the morning with optimism. With courage, Sistina offered a contract to share his fate. The noble family knelt, offering their fortune and begging Sistina to contract with their son. Reluctantly, Sistina accepted the plea, acknowledging the sincerity behind the offerings. Sujiro was surprised upon hearing the news. Surrounded by stares, Sistina hesitated to explain that Sujiro's closeness with Hataru had triggered emotions within her. Sistina declared her belief that their meeting was guided by fate. Sistina reflected on the past, knowing fate changed when the Lord and Mrs. visited her temple. Bandits ambushed them during their return. She alone survived, narrowly avoiding a forced contract with criminals. Instead, Sujiro saved her when everything around her had collapsed. Sistina offered her wisdom but broke down, powerless to protect those she loved. Sujiro asked for a contract, giving her purpose again. Sistina accepted with gratitude. Sistina began the ritual, her power surging as the contract ceremony started. Multiple contracts appeared, each held unique rules and limitations demanding careful consideration. Sistina explained that tighter constraints gave stronger power, with the master-servant contract being safest for early trials. Sujiro chose subservience, understanding it granted absolute power but required total obedience from the acolyte. Bound by magic, Sistina submitted completely, her body and spirit pledged in obedience to Sujiro. Sistina realized the subservience contract bordered on enslavement, yet Sujiro chose it. He called her name with confidence, making her accept without surprise. Sujiro rewrote the contract mid-ritual, altering its terms. He appended a clause allowing Sistina to refuse orders once, granting her freedom within obedience. Declaring selfish terms void, Sujiro deleted abusive rules and reshaped the contract with fairness. Sujiro rewrote the contract granting Sistina the right to act for her own justice. He asked if the changes were acceptable, aware of her feelings. Sistina questioned his power, as no one should be able to rewrite an absolute contract. She explained that contracts were sacred and only those worthy could earn such loyalty. Sujiro realized her devotion came from trust, not duty, and thanked her. Sujiro revealed his skill in rewriting contracts came from his unique literacy-based magical ability. He could read and write all languages, enabling him to alter magical rules freely. Sistina was surprised he had tried it, and the forbidden rewrite succeeded. Sistina realized her lifelong training led to this bond with Sujiro. She had prepared her entire life unknowingly for the moment she would devote herself to him. Sistina completed the vow, acknowledging Sujiro as her rightful master and bonded partner. She pledged her service fully, beginning her role as Sujiro's acolyte. Sujiro struggled to express his emotions while responding to the teasing. He reflected beside Sakura and Hataru that meeting Sistina was another gift of fate. Surrounded by such blessings, Sujiro feared misfortune might follow, but for now they remained together. Sujiro stood as the two women praised his fate and hidden potential. Sujiro accepted their help, unsure yet eager to adapt to this world. He asked to be called master, surprised when the maid obeyed. He requested familiarity, but she suggested a respectful compromise. Sujiro agreed, and she accepted, ready to follow him through their journey. While riding the wagon, Sujiro was asked if he had a plan or direction ahead. Sujiro reflected, admitting his divine role was simply to live honestly in this world. With no ambition, he only hoped for peace, a job, and loyal companionship. Sujiro worried she would regret joining him, but she reassured him with loyalty and trust. She told him he could now choose any path and become anything he desired. As they rode forward, Sujiro spotted a distant town. They reached the city gate. Sujiro showed credentials while the women waited beside him. Inside the city, Sujiro looked around, noting its liveliness and dense population. The maid explained that city tolls were waived if Sujiro was registered as their master. He learned that in return for free entry, acolytes were expected to serve the city. Despite the obligation, she was satisfied and determined to help Sujiro enter without cost. After entering the city, they realized how little money they had left. She regretted not hunting more beasts, though her monster pile already exceeded basic needs. They discussed earning money through selling monster skins and rewards from eliminating local bandit threats. The maid requested permission to send a small share to her former master's family. Sujiro reassured her she was family now, and friends support each other's honest intentions. Sujiro confirmed her wish to honor the carriage's original owner by returning what wasn't needed. She received quest rewards from defeating bandits, but insisted on sending proceeds back. At the merchant's office, she inquired about selling the carriage for extra funds. A merchant inspected the horse and carriage and prepared to offer payment. He offered too little, so she countered, defending its value. The merchant bargained stubbornly, but she threatened to leave unless he offered a fair price. She countered with 350,000 mar, and the merchant agreed to pay. She revealed her negotiation skill that forces buyers to reveal their top price. Sujiro questioned her strategy, but she admitted using it only here and not on innocent people. They reached the inn and were greeted by staff, ready to rest. After securing a room, they sat together for food, resting from their journey. As they dined, Hataru expressed curiosity about alcohol and its local popularity. Drinks flowed and laughter followed as the group enjoyed the food and relaxed. With everyone settled, she brought up their official duty of exploring the tower. She explained that the tower was a massive building teeming with monsters. She explained the history of the tower's dangerous structures where monsters are endlessly produced. Sujiro agreed that visiting the tower might be worthwhile. Hataru pledged to strengthen herself through real combat. Sujiro praised Hataru's loyalty, and everyone enjoyed the moment inside the inn tavern. Later, Sujiro found the inn's bath confusing. While she mistook it for edible soup, Sujiro imagined the idea of bathing, his mind wandering toward hopeful scenarios. His daydream turned into a fantasy where both girls bathed beside him. Still alone, Sujiro spoke to his sword, wishing Sakura could one day become human. Afterward, Hataru returned from her first bath, curious about hot spring possibilities. Hataru asked Sujiro to begin a sparring session while they waited. Hataru challenged Sujiro to a reflex test, daring him to reach her in combat. Sujiro accepted the challenge, determined to meet her movement with speed. They clashed in motion, both engaged. She dodged swiftly while he lunged forward, narrowly missing her. Sujiro adjusted quickly, growing faster and sharper, steadily improving as they battled around the room. Hataru praised his efforts while dodging, challenging him to push further. Driven by instinct and determination, Sujiro aimed for victory, his imagination fueling his resolve. Their match caught attention, ending when an onlooker interrupted, mistaking training for inappropriate behavior. Sujiro thanked Hataru for the lesson, and they exchanged words. They shook hands, both proud of the progress made through their sparring. Hataru praised Sujiro's reflexes, advising him to apply his focus outside training sessions. They regrouped, reunited with Sestina, as Hataru questioned them for blocking the hallway. Sestina appeared dressed, catching everyone's attention before joining them. With the day winding down, Sujiro suggested heading back to the inn to rest. Later in their room, Sestina approached Sujiro with one final request before they went to sleep. Sestina requested he undress, leaving him confused at her tone. She clarified her intent, preparing him for tomorrow. Sujiro panicked as Sestina insisted it was her duty as an acolyte to dress him. Things escalated quickly, leading to an awkward tumble and a close moment. Sestina leaned in and kissed him. Sujiro sat silently as Sestina approached, unsure yet accepting her decision to stay close. She kissed him, signaling trust and affection beyond duty. Their closeness deepened, both uncertain yet drawn to something stronger than obligation. Afterwards, they shared laughter, reflecting on their feelings and how little time had passed. With a quiet hug, he reassured her his feelings were real, not bound by contract. Night fell as they embraced. Their connection deepened far beyond words or magical contracts. Sujiro kissed Sestina, drawn by desire and trust that had grown between them. He explored her nervously, surprised by her reactions, learning her sensitivity through honest hands. Recalling his previous night with Hataru, his confidence grew from experience. Sujiro undressed Sestina, focused on bringing her joy through careful attention. Sestina opened herself with trust, enjoying the moment where emotions and intimacy aligned. Sujiro moved slowly, listening to her voice, adjusting his pace to her comfort. Afterward, they lay together quietly, hearts calm, feeling warmth beyond physical closeness or obligation. Sestina stayed awake, treasuring the moment rather than losing it to sleep. Sujiro listened in silence, realizing her feelings were deeper than he expected. Hataru reminded Sujiro of her origin, once a sword, now awakened. Sestina reassured him, showing confidence and hinting she was prepared for everything afterward. Sujiro admitted the skill amazed him, now understanding its effects emotionally and physically. They returned to Hataru, who sensed everything without needing to ask. Hataru suggested another bath as the bond between the three deepened. Hataru declined intimacy, choosing to return to her original sword form for now. Sestina led the way, leaving Sujiro puzzled but curious about what would come next. In the bath, Sestina offered to wash him. Her hands washed washed his back, stirring thoughts and emotions in Sujiro. As she moved closer, washing his chest, their closeness deepened in silent understanding. Sujiro struggled to resist temptation, overwhelmed by Sestina's closeness. He turned to her suddenly, emotions and desire breaking through. He returned her care with enthusiasm, unaware his touch exceeded simple bathing. Sestina reacted as the water washed over them. Night blanketed the house, sealing away their shared moment. Sestina demonstrated the act, her confidence calming Sujiro while a silent sword observed. Their passion peaked under moonlight, with Hataru's presence acknowledging their deepened bond. Sestina completed her act with calm grace as Sujiro reached his limit. Laughter followed the intensity as they lay tangled beneath the covers, feeling exhausted and fulfilled. They lay still. Sujiro stared upward, amazed by everything they had shared. Sestina slept beside him, her expression calm after everything they had shared that night. Sujiro reflected on skills, realizing the art achieved more than magic or spirit training could. With curiosity stirring again, he considered experimenting with magic energy substitute before falling asleep. Suddenly, Sujiro jolted upright, surprised by his body's response and the overwhelming heat. Confused and burning, he realized something had awakened again despite exhausting himself hours earlier. Sujiro hesitated beside the sleeping Sestina, unsure whether to act or let her rest. Overcome with temptation, his thoughts drifted as his eyes locked onto her exposed body. Suddenly, Hataru stormed in, interrupting the moment and scolding him. She called him out for his lack of control and shameless behavior. Hataru advised him to wait. Sestina would teach him properly tomorrow. Hataru offered temporary relief to handle Sujiro's lingering physical frustration. Sujiro embraced her fully until his body felt satisfied. By morning, Sujiro's stats improved, his vitality ranked up from Hataru's guidance. Sestina was surprised to learn Hataru's stats increased significantly after the night's activities. Sujiro explained everything, while Hataru confirmed her body felt lighter and more energized. Hataru's stats revealed a new SPL++ rank and enhanced combat abilities across several categories. Sestina reacted to the high vigor absorption value, slowly connecting the cause. She realized Hataru must have gone rough overnight, leaving Sujiro confused by their reactions. Hataru explained her rank boost came from collecting Sujiro's vigor during their private night. Sujiro realized the system's deeper meaning. Sestina admitted she noticed everything from nearby. Sestina requested to experience the same treatment from Sujiro someday. Suddenly, the sword Sakura emitted a sorrowful aura, prompting everyone to turn toward it. Sujiro recalled Sakura absorbed his blood. Understanding her sorrow came from shared pain and regret. Sujiro encouraged Sakura to keep growing, hoping she'd eventually gain a voice of her own. Hataru theorized that magic also flows internally, not just outward through spellcasting or enchantment. Sestina explained that humans struggle with visualization, which is why magic requires structured methods. Hataru nodded, though Sujiro remained lost during the explanation. Sestina demonstrated a small magic trick, impressing everyone as the room brightened with light. Sujiro attempted magic, but quickly realized he couldn't use it despite his high potential. Hataru reassured him he already had another special kind of magical strength. She declared she'd require his magic conversion efforts nightly from now on. Energized by their bond, Sujiro led the team in planning their next tower assault. Fully equipped and united, the trio prepared for battle. Sujiro promised to name Sakura someday. The group arrived at the transfer facility, the starting point for accessing the dangerous tower. Sestina introduced herself and requested access, as guards opened the entrance for them. Inside, Sujiro observed the transfer area's structure, noting its organized counters and formal atmosphere. A clerk explained ticket prices and destinations, distracting Sujiro with her revealing uniform. Sestina redirected attention as they received a wooden tag and payment instructions for their return. Adventurers sell magical stones here for funding deeper expeditions into the tower. A group of powerful returnees emerged from the gate, signaling their latest survival and success. Sujiro recognized them as elite adventurers, each with unique skills earned from countless dungeon trials. Gorilla boasted, while Lyciel and the priest agreed they avoided reckless dungeon decisions this time. Gorilla flirted with Sujiro's companions. Sujiro stayed calm, avoiding the group's chaotic antics. Both women rejected the offer, showing clear disdain. Annoyed by Gorilla's behavior, they suggested relocating their base to avoid future encounters. Sujiro agreed, and the group approached the transfer circle, ready to head to a new location. The transition circle activated. Sujiro listened as instructions for safe passage were explained. Emerging high above, they saw the lake city, an untouched frontier full of promise. Sujiro led his team forward, ready to begin their first real expedition together. The vast lake city awaited them, its towering structure promising mystery, danger, and hidden opportunities. Sujiro's team entered the tower, an ancient place. Danger loomed ahead as monsters approached. approached. To test readiness, Sestina stepped forward, prepared to confront the enemy using her strength. Ignoring defense, Sestina charged in. Her aggressive attack broke the enemy's formation. Sujiro hesitated, confused by Sestina's stillness, yet she held her stance, awaiting the next opportunity. Sestina calculated movement. She paused, waiting for the beast's next move to strike. Sestina gripped her weapon tightly, eyes locked, timing her attack with precision and focus. With perfect form, she struck the beast's exposed flank, launching it backward with a powerful counter. Sestina bowed, and her companions praised her instinct and timely finishing move. When questioned, Sestina explained she delayed to avoid a failed strike against a cautious enemy. She clarified her strength lies in guarding others. Her role was support, not aggression. Sestina admitted her emotions surged after recalling her contract with Sujiro, disrupting her battle focus briefly. Sujiro prepared for his turn, energized and focused, as they moved toward the next monster location. The group proceeded through the corridor, scanning for threats as footsteps echoed in the silent tower. Sujiro noted the tower's vast interior, unexpectedly spacious compared to its three-story exterior appearance. Sestina reflected that mysteries filled the tower, and its window-accessible structure resembled a game's logic. Every floor contains a boss monster. More bosses appear as the number of kills increases. The final boss, the Tower Master, dwells above. Defeating him would collapse the entire structure. Sestina explained the tower system. Stronger enemies appear the higher you climb its selective levels. Sujiro questioned the tower's origin, but their focus was broken by a growling presence nearby. A rank G tower wolf appeared. Sujiro readied himself, recalling the footwork taught in training. He took a firm stance, drawing both blades, preparing to fight with balanced precision. He reminded himself this wasn't like before. Fighting now required control under gravity-enhanced conditions. The tower wolf lunged, aiming directly for Sujiro. It bypassed him, forcing Hataru to intervene. Sujiro was shocked by the near miss. Sujiro realized he failed as vanguard. He let danger slip right past him. Sestina warned Sujiro of the incoming strike, but he was already mid-swing and distracted. The wolf crashed into Sujiro, slamming him hard to the ground before he could react. As the wolf approached again, Hataru stepped in, ready to end the growing threat. She delivered a strike, knocking the beast off and shielding Sujiro from a second attack. Hataru commanded Sestina to stall the wolf, emphasizing not to kill it yet. Sujiro admitted hesitation since he never hurt animals before. Hataru urged him to change perspective. She explained monsters not slain in the tower would eventually escape and threaten innocent people. Sujiro began to speak but paused, disturbed by the thought of real-world consequences. He visualized slaughtered victims, realizing monsters kill without mercy and seeing them as criminals. Determined, he drew his blade again, this time with resolve to fight without doubt. Encouraged by Hataru, Sujiro asked Sestina to switch. It was finally his turn again. Staring down the snarling beast, Sujiro stood firm. He no longer feared the monster's rage. The wolf leapt, baring its fangs, aiming to crush him in a single strike. But Sujiro countered mid-motion, blades slicing through. He declared he didn't care how a criminal thinks. With full strength, Sujiro slashed down, resolving to destroy evil before it destroys others. The giant wolf monster roared, its jaws wide, sensing intruders had entered its domain. Sujiro confronted the beast, swiftly drawing his blade, dodging fangs and striking with precise power. Launching upward, he slashed the beast mid-air, forcing it back with strength and control. Back in town, villagers whispered about his unique battle style and deadly efficiency against monsters. Sujiro credited Hataru's sword guidance, recognizing their victory came from teamwork, instinct, and sharp advice. After the battle, Sujiro raised his hand in thanks. A rare gemstone appeared where the monster vanished, catching everyone's attention with its strange energy. The healer requested his left arm, intending to inspect the damage from the earlier clash. Her healing magic worked perfectly. Sujiro smiled, grateful for her gentle concern. Sujiro celebrated, eager to grow stronger for future adventures. Sujiro ordered Sestina to lead. She charged forward to scout the enemy's path. The team launched a coordinated strike, blades flashing as they pressed against the attacking monsters. With quick instructions and appraisals, Hataru guided them, exposing weaknesses and directing each movement precisely. Monsters appeared, 2 wolves and a puppet, with clear threat levels displayed using Hataru's magical analysis. Hataru stepped forward, sword drawn, ready to eliminate all enemies ahead. Sujiro smiled as Hataru looked cheerful, unaware something heavy was approaching outside the tower. Sudden tremors shook the structure. The ominous sound of advancing danger echoed across the hallway. With the floor cleared, Hataru suggested advancing, but an unknown voice suddenly shouted to stop. A traveling merchant named Wilmark appeared, warning them they lacked the required party ring certification. After verification, he revealed the ring's official equipment necessary to access deeper dungeon floors safely. Wilmark explained the ring's origin. Paired stones drones designed to track party members inside the tower. The ring helped locate separated allies, displaying direction based on the stone's internal alignment. Although the group saw value in them, the price of 300,000 moral caught everyone off guard. Wilmark paused their departure, asking Sistina a question about her magical or cleric background. Realizing she was an acolyte, he offered the rings for free, acknowledging her sacred vocation. Wilmark offered the rings as an investment, requesting a future favor in return someday. Sujiro reviewed the contract carefully, realizing the arrangement placed minimal risk on their group. Sistina revealed the contract punished her directly if the group defaulted on the agreement. Sujiro protested, angered by Sistina's calm acceptance of such personal burden for the team. Later that night, tension lingered between them, hearts conflicted by unspoken concern and silent gratitude. Night settled. The party rested together, united by trust, affection, and quiet resolve. Before sleeping, Sujiro reassured Sakura, his other sword, promising she'd join tomorrow's mission too. Despite battles fought, Sakura's abilities had not improved, causing concern about her stagnant growth. They decided to use a stored magic stone, hoping Sujiro's skill could boost her training. Sujiro activated supplemented training, successfully increasing Sakura's potential with visible results. Motivated to grow stronger, Sujiro planned to climb the tower and improve Sakura's abilities. Upon arrival, they were surprised to find the tower unusually crowded with anxious adventurers. Wilmark rushed through the crowd, urgently calling out with a grave expression. He warned the group that something serious had just occurred on the tower's first floor. A warrior explained trouble began last night, hinting at danger even Wilmark hadn't foreseen. The team was stunned. No monsters remained. They may have completely cleared the first floor. Hataru suggested the floor was temporarily exhausted, but even she found the situation unsettling. Wilmark revealed concern the real problem began only after the monsters had disappeared entirely. Parties returning from deeper levels reported overwhelming monster surges, nearly crushed by higher-tier creatures. Sistina urged immediate action upon learning over 10 adventurers were trapped in a chaotic monster mix. The dungeon center was dangerously structured. New adventurers had unknowingly gotten trapped inside its core. Sistina rejected waiting for help. Her resolve burned with urgency to act without delay. Hataru supported her if they avoided the boss chamber. Rescue was possible through caution. Sujiro denied retreat, accepting responsibility for the crisis they helped cause by overclearing. He confessed his deepest truth. Nothing mattered more than protecting Hataru and Sistina together. Sistina declared she'd go alone if needed, citing her sacred contract's independent authority clause. She explained her right as an acolyte to act alone if justice required urgent intervention. Sujiro relented, choosing unity over conflict, and committed all three to the rescue together. He assured Sistina of her value, smiling to express his sincere conviction. Moved by his words, Sistina embraced him, grateful, while Hataru quietly admired their bond. Sujiro vowed to protect those he cared for as they prepared for the rescue mission. Reaching the tower again, they sensed ominous changes, signaling a deeper threat was unfolding inside. The team charged into the tower, determined to rescue those endangered by growing monster threats. Sujiro led the way, unleashing his blade with focused power to break through enemy lines. He clashed with wolves and giant insects, his sword arcs slicing through the hostile swarm. Sistina and Hataru joined in, coordinating attacks while warning Sujiro to stay alert mid-fight. Suddenly, stronger monsters from the 7th floor emerged, unfamiliar beasts blocking their forward advance. The new enemies were beast-class monsters from the 7th floor, more aggressive and unfamiliar. Sujiro asked Hataru to engage 2 enemies, while he distracted the central flame Fong. Hataru launched into battle, slicing through the flanks, while Sujiro lured the leader. Sujiro stepped forward as the vanguard, instructing Sistina to hold steady and guard the rear. Spotting an opening, Sistina charged to strike the exposed back of the flame beast. The lion-like beast attacked first, breaking the party's formation with its overwhelming strength and speed. He realized he was outmatched as the beast's strength was overwhelming. Sistina charged in from behind, striking to shield her master from the lunging beast. Her weapon hit with force, and the beast was thrown against the stone wall. Though injured, the beast stood again, so they braced together to finish it. The enemy unleashed a surprise attack. Sistina was in danger, and her comrade rushed to help. A massive fire breath was released. Sujiro shielded Sistina from the blast with his own body. Sistina saw him wounded and realized she needed to heal him immediately. Before Sistina could act, Hataru struck down the enemy, preventing another blow from landing on Sujiro. Hataru urged Sistina to prioritize the battle. Healing could wait as the enemy was still a threat. Sujiro collapsed from a fire attack. Sistina called out, promising to return after scouting ahead as he winced from the pain. Someone approached, scolding him gently that he should have dodged it earlier. Fry pulled him up, explaining a nearby shelter offered partial safety from further monster attacks. She dragged him through the the corridor, heading toward a narrow safe zone within the tower. Reaching the hideout, they found injured survivors. Sujiro confirmed everyone inside was accounted for. With a fierce shout, Sistina charged forward as battle erupted again. She struck hard alongside Hataru, both clashing with the monster to stop its violent rampage. Hataru unleashed a sweeping slash, slicing through the beast's paw as it attempted to attack. The strike connected but lacked depth. Hataru realized it wasn't enough to finish the beast. Before she could react, the monster lunged. Sistina screamed in warning as claws targeted Hataru's back. Hataru braced herself as the monster lunged. She countered, holding it back with force. Sistina warned Hataru of the incoming strike as the monster lunged again. With one final strike, she cut through the beast, ending the battle. Hataru turned to Sistina. It was time to regroup and check on Sujiro. She spoke to her sword, Sakura, thankful for the timely support during combat. Back in the shelter, Sujiro awakened, surrounded by warmth and worried voices calling his name. Sistina regained consciousness slowly, responding weakly. Though unharmed, the restrictive armor still made her uncomfortable. She blamed herself for Sujiro's injury, believing an acolyte should have shielded their master more effectively. Sujiro reassured her. Since she was uninjured, she could focus on treating his wounds. As Sistina carefully undressed him, he winced. The fabric clung painfully to his damaged skin. She applied medicine, regretting her past selfishness, as Sujiro endured the sting without complaint. The group advanced cautiously through the dungeon, noticing few monsters. Flamefang must have cleared the path. She sensed something ahead. With sharp instincts, she halted and warned her team of danger. The team raced forward, hearing distant screams echo through the dungeon's stone walls. He struggled against a monster. They rushed in, determined to reach him in time. Fry led the charge. With weapons drawn, they committed to saving as many lives as possible. Surrounded by collapsed adventurers, the wounded man opened his eyes, locking gazes with his rescuer. Fry halted the crowd's murmurs, stepping forward with urgency, demanding clarity before anything else continued. Fry confronted him boldly, clarifying her role and demanding respect as a capable female warrior. Sujiro admitted his surprise, noting her bravery and presence stood out among ruins and unconscious bodies. She laughed off the compliment, reassured by his quick wit and steady recovery. She blushed deeply, grateful someone genuinely acknowledged her for once. She hesitated, then confirmed no one had called her cute since childhood. It moved her. A fierce Flamefang emerged, its presence confirmed through appraisal, looming with menacing eyes on floor 7. The party faced the beast's fiery assault, realizing it far surpassed typical dungeon-level threats in strength. She explained mutant beasts dropped rare gems. Their danger was high, but the reward matched their lethal threat. Sujiro thanked Sistina as she completed his healing, her magic restoring his strength completely. He instructed her to help the remaining explorers recover enough to move on their own. The swordswoman introduced herself as Fry Hao, a fourth-floor explorer escorting someone deeper this time. Sujiro requested Fry escort the others out safely, trusting her while revealing most monsters were cleared. He introduced himself as Fujinomiya Sujiro, vowing to repay everyone's efforts and kindness one day. Sujiro accidentally stumbled forward, his face crashing into her chest, startled by the sudden physical contact. She calmly held him, suggesting silence about the gem to avoid inciting envy among others. Nearby, a jealous warrior questioned Frey's loyalty, eyeing Sujiro with suspicion and growing personal resentment. Without warning, he violently grabbed Frey's hair, demanding answers with anger clouding his judgment and restraint. He shouted, squeezing her shoulder, asserting dominance. Fry flinched, hurt but defiant, refusing to be humiliated. Tears streamed down Frey's face as she trembled, barely whispering an apology under mounting humiliation. Tension broke as Sujiro gripped his weapon, stepping forward between them with silent but firm intent. He warned the aggressor to leave immediately. His presence radiated control and unwavering resolve. The man recoiled, frightened. Sujiro checked on Fry, who sat up, regaining composure despite shaken nerves. Though shaken, Fry insisted she could stand on her own, her pride still shining through quietly. The group reflected quietly. Fry overheard, silently withdrawing, hurt by how easily others dismissed her role. With their objective complete, they paused to decide their next move while weighing lingering responsibilities. Sujiro affirmed their efforts were enough. They had rescued many and agreed it was time to retreat safely. Hataru sensed nearby survivors. Encouraged, the group changed plans and decided to help a bit more. Sistina begged them not to stop. They meant more to her than survival. Hataru rejected Sujiro's retreat plan. Her calm defiance echoed louder than any shout in the cave. Sistina admitted she didn't think escape was wrong, just necessary for his safety, not hers. Sujiro reflected silently, realizing Sistina's decision came from fear, not will. Letting her act now felt wrong. He understood Sistina's real strength stemmed from protecting others, but she was paralyzed by emotional conflict now. Hataru stepped in, reminding Sestina she wasn't alone. What she needed most was to stay. Sestina reminded them if it were reversed, they'd risk everything to protect her too. She voiced it clearly. She wanted to fight and save the others herself. Sujiro responded without hesitation, fully trusting her strength and ready to follow her lead into danger again. Sestina reached out. Her uncertainty gave way to resolve, her heart finally steady and clear. Together, they grasped hands in unity. The group turned forward, ready to face what remained. The group moved through quiet corridors, noting how the flame fong likely scared other monsters off. Hataru sensed a chance. Perhaps they'd reach the others without battle, but something sharp caught her attention. Suddenly alert, she sensed danger nearby. A monster's presence ahead triggered her immediate reaction to move. With urgency, they sprinted together through the tunnels. Still time left, still hope to reach survivors. Their pace quickened at terrified screams echoing through stone. Someone ahead was under attack, desperate and alone. Hearing the screams, Sestina and Hataru charged ahead, determined that survivors still had a chance. Inside the chamber, an explorer struggled against a towering beast while his allies lay unconscious nearby. Sujiro spotted the creature and rushed in. There was still time to change the outcome. They launched their attack, fighting to protect the wounded and end the threat. She raised her blade with purpose, sworn to protect her master from all future threats. A monstrous bear from the 12th floor roared violently, his fangs bared with killing intent. Charging forward, the creature swung down savagely, but she leapt aside, ready to retaliate instantly. She unleashed a precise slash, but the monster twisted midair, narrowly avoiding her lethal blow. Seeing the enemy dodge, her master rushed in, swords drawn, prepared to fight alongside her. Sujiro stared as the beast disappeared without a trace before their eyes. Hataru assessed the scene, instructing Sujiro to guard left as the enemy used camouflage. Sujiro raised his blades in sync, nerves steadying as he prepared to counterattack quickly. The monster reappeared in a flash, forcing Sujiro to block its charge with both swords. Hataru revealed the truth. The beast not only changed color, but completely erased its presence. Sujiro warned Hataru not to fixate. Reading the entire battlefield was now essential. He muttered about the hide bear's stealth, questioning its sudden burst of aggression. As spatial distortion rippled ahead, Sujiro sensed the shift and tightened his grip on Sakura. The floor erupted violently, forcing Sujiro to leap back before the shockwave tore through. Examining the crater, Sujiro finally understood the enemy had altered space itself to mask attacks. Hataru launched forward with precision, her sword flashing in a deliberate attempt to anchor movement. Sujiro observed the space warping. Hataru's interference revealed the beast's hidden motion across the battlefield. The beast's camouflage failed as Hataru's strike forced it into the open. He dashed in with fierce momentum, locking eyes on the enemy and preparing his strike. Together they surged, Hataru distracting while Sujiro soared, both committed to a two-point assault. The beast roared, but Sujiro's blade swung down with purpose as Hataru drew its focus. With synchronized strikes, Hataru severed its head while Sujiro cleaved the creature's arm mid-air. The beast collapsed in defeat, and both stood above it, exhausted but victorious together. Sujiro stared at his unnamed sword, frustrated it couldn't pierce the monster's tough hide. He realized it needed more than strength. It needed identity. He decided to name the blade. With danger past, Sujiro turned to Hataru, concerned about the civilians caught in the chaos. Sestina approached quietly, reporting they had managed to save only 2 of the victims. The survivors, Akri and Tor, expressed gratitude, still shaken from their near-death experience. Their names revealed, Sujiro and Hataru listened silently, realizing just how few had survived. Sestina confirmed the truth. The others didn't make it in time. Sujiro clenched his fist, silently mourning the loss they couldn't prevent despite fighting so fiercely. Wounded, the man lamented that earlier help might have saved their fallen comrade. Tor revealed that Baku had sacrificed himself, buying time for their survival through grievous injuries. Tor recalled the true threat, a monstrous winged creature that ruled the entire floor. Tears welled in his eyes. He had never seen a beast of such terror. Grasping Akri's shoulders, Tor begged her to stop, risking herself recklessly to protect him. Tor wept, fearing Akri's loss. Hataru found his protectiveness both touching and self-centered. She explained true protection required strength, but mutual defense meant sharing burdens, not carrying alone. Sujiro nodded in agreement, affirming the balance between independence and companionship in battle. Hataru replied coolly as Sujiro pondered the change between them. As the group settled, Sujiro noted magical compatibility might allow direct communication between survivors. Sujiro explained the spell interaction. Hataru's thoughts reached him via combined magical resonance. Hataru teased Sujiro about their private link. Akri bowed, thanking the group, while Tor inquired about the status of recovered gear. They confessed their equipment was lost within the boss domain. Only their lives had returned. With a final glance at the fallen, Sujiro signaled the party to move forward again. As they walked walked, Tor mourned Baku's fate, dreading he'd be consumed by the tower. Sestina explained that any corpse left for hours would vanish into the dungeon's essence. The revelation struck Sujiro. They were nutrients walking within the tower's body. Tor called out to Sujiro and Hataru, signaling unease but finding comfort in their calm. Hataru reassured him no enemies were behind, but something ahead still required their attention. Hataru sensed a lone presence approaching and suggested Sujiro handle the unknown figure ahead. Around the corner appeared Fry, an old ally whose arrival hinted at new developments. She returned to the fortress ruins, recalling the debt she owed Sujiro from before. Despite the others escaping, she stayed behind, determined to protect Sujiro just once more. Sujiro accepted her help, knowing their survival depended on trusting allies willing to return. With danger near, the group prepared to fight again. Hataru confirmed more enemies awaited outside. Sujiro walked beside her, suggesting they train together before battle to ensure perfect teamwork. Sujiro's allies discussed each member's combat roles. Sestina as defense, Hataru with offense. Sujiro admitted his lack of combat class, claiming he was only skilled in scouting. She doubted his modesty, shocked by how he handled heavy weapons with such precision. Sujiro confessed Hataru had secretly trained him, revealing more skill than he meant to. A misunderstanding escalated when she misread his gesture, flustering herself over his weapon's placement. Sujiro demonstrated his dual-wield stance, warning her to stay alert during his spinning strikes. He watched her reaction quietly, wondering if she believed his claim or noticed something suspicious. She shouted defensively, clarifying her focus was the sword, not what he thought she saw. Sujiro realized her gaze was innocent, but decided to keep pretending for now. He explained the katana's origin, calling it a family heirloom unlike any sword she'd seen. Sujiro explained his past, half-truths cloaked in pain, keeping the sword's nature concealed carefully. She expressed sympathy, sensing his struggle. Sujiro realized she had suffered loss as well. She revealed her parents' death, fragile brothers, and hardships she endured without seeking pity. She shared one of many burdens, still standing strong despite the trauma. She thanked him sincerely, admitting his support during her employer's abuse meant everything. Enemies appeared nearby Sujiro's group. They prepared to act fast before getting surrounded in narrow quarters. Hataru and Sujiro agreed splitting up was the only way to manage this unexpected threat. Drawing both swords, Sujiro signaled Sestina to brace for a two-front attack approaching quickly. Sestina warned others to stay still as she took charge of the rear flank. Monsters screeched through the corridor, their claws echoing, revealing their approach through the stone passage. A monstrous ant-man appeared, leading several tower ants and an F-rank general with dangerous influence. Fry identified the ant-man as a major threat they couldn't ignore. Sujiro realized the general commanded the swarm, targeting it would be their only real chance. He ordered Fry to distract the tower ants, isolating the general for an attack. With his blades drawn, Sujiro planned to strike first, counting on Sakura to pierce armor. Sujiro prepared to unleash lethal strength, his gaze unwavering. The ant-man and its swarm closed in quickly, mandibles snapping and legs clattering on stone. Sujiro gave clear instructions, flanking left while Fry charged forward toward the front. Fry met the oncoming ant head-on, slashing with precise timing. With controlled strength, she landed a crushing blow to its head, staggering the monstrous attacker. Fry twisted her body, blades ready. Her foot pivoted fast, launching into the next strike. She delivered a clean blow, knocking back the charging tower ant. Sujiro watched calmly, impressed. He now understood why she was known as a beast swordswoman. Without hesitation, Sujiro launched forward, slicing through another enemy with speed and precision. He surged ahead, cutting down stragglers. There was no time for distractions or mercy. The ant-man raised its deadly claw, aiming a crushing strike to stop Sujiro's advance. But Sujiro executed a feint, evading the blow and landing a deep counterstrike. The ant-man recoiled in pain as Sujiro prepared his finishing attack without hesitation. With explosive momentum, Sujiro flipped past the enemy, slashing midair in a full rotation. Landing firmly, he watched the crystallized core eject. The ant-man was defeated. Victory was close. Fry called out while fighting. Sujiro turned and dashed to support without hesitation. The final ant collapsed. She caught her breath, nearly overwhelmed, but glad she stayed. Sujiro handed her 3 crystals in silence. It was her share fairly earned. She tried praising him, but Sujiro deflected credit. She smiled at his modest reply. Fry thanked him, her heart feeling lighter than moments before. While Sujiro recovered, Fry extracted the core, unaware of what it would trigger next. A sudden shock overwhelmed him. Waves of grief and rage crashed through his chest and mind. He realized too late that Sakura, his spirit blade and companion, had been stolen during the battle. Kneeling in silence, he mourned her as a sibling, not just a weapon. Ahead, something fled. Driven by fury, Sujiro followed, his voice low, heart fixed on retribution. Fry ran alone through the corridor, desperate to follow Sujiro Sujiro and catch up quickly. Far away, Sakura's spirit trembled, calling for help, trapped, helpless, and waiting for rescue. Sujiro's hatred sharpened. He swore vengeance for Sakura, no matter who stood in his way. Fry ran, tears falling, haunted by guilt. She repeated her excuse like a mantra. Memories returned. Her brother had threatened her. Survival forced her choice. Desperation wrapped in silent submission. Sujiro's kindness had reached her, making the betrayal hurt more than any punishment would. She fled deeper into the corridor, carrying the stolen sword and magic gem tightly. She turned around, her breath catching as dread filled her eyes at the silent footsteps. The corridor stretched endlessly, but he was gaining, his expression unreadable, steps unwavering and fast. A strange presence loomed. Her body froze. Behind her he whispered words she couldn't understand. Panic seized her legs. She sprinted harder, heart pounding. She thought he would kill her. She couldn't comprehend it. Why was he here after she defeated him? She raised her blade silently behind him, ready to strike as he knelt unaware. But his stillness wasn't vulnerability. It radiated tension, as if waiting for her next move. Fear overwhelmed her. She turned and fled instantly. Tears streamed down her face. She questioned everything, screaming against the cruelty chasing her. Memories resurfaced. Childhood hardship, kindness from Bartsama, survival with Al. She had once trusted people. When her brother fell ill, everything shifted. Dependence replaced pride. Survival became their only goal. A man once kind made an indecent offer, using promises of care as leverage. That night she endured in silence. What happened was not consent, it was obligation. Despite her disgust, she tolerated his touch, convincing herself it was for her brother. Now fleeing for her life, she questioned if that sacrifice was worth what followed. She finally escaped the pursuer's echoing steps, her breath ragged, gripping the stolen magic gem. Suddenly, a monstrous beast towered before her, blocking her path with razor claws and rage. Cornered, she slipped and screamed. The creature advanced, reading her desperation behind silent resolve. The swordsman intervened with fury, cleaving forward. He demanded answers but protected her without hesitation. The girl fled in panic. Behind her, the battle raged, steel clashing against scaled terror. A small pouch dropped beside the warrior's foot. Its contents were vital to Sakura's survival mission. With gentle eyes, he welcomed Sakura back, sensing her struggle but saying nothing for now. Suddenly, a fierce dragon appeared. He readied his blade to protect them from the floor boss. Sujiro faces the dragon mantis, the floor boss, blocking escape from the hidden dungeon. News reaches him that Sakura was taken. Before reinforcements arrive, he prepares to act alone. The dragon mantis charges. Sujiro analyzes movements, searching for an opening to escape or strike. Panic rises. His instincts scream. Death feels near, but retreat is impossible. He must fight now. With resolve, Sujiro lunges forward, striking with everything he has to end the battle. The dragon mantis stomps fiercely, launching shockwaves. Sujiro is thrown across the cracked ground. Bruised but alert, Sujiro misjudges the attack. The enemy's claw descends from above again. He grits his teeth, standing tall. Despite fear, he prepares to counter the crushing strike. Sujiro dodges sideways and slashes upward. The floor shatters under the beast's mist-crushing blow. Channeling elemental force, he prepares his magic. Wind and fire combine in a deadly strike. Sujiro strikes from above, but his sword fails to pierce the dragon mantis' armored hide. Sujiro strikes from above, but his sword fails to pierce the dragon mantis' armored hide. He charges swiftly from the side, targeting an exposed weak spot with a spinning attack. The strike connects deep. The monster screams in agony as Sujiro slices across its body. He realizes the sword Sakura lacks reach without deeper damage. He can't finish this battle. The dragon mantis lands a brutal hit. Sujiro is sent flying through the air. He tumbles hard, barely catching his balance. His body aches but his grip stays firm. Realizing his attacks won't work, Sujiro reassesses the situation. Charging in recklessly won't guarantee victory. His eyes catch a rocky stairway. A sudden idea sparks a risky chance for escape. Measuring the distance carefully, he sees hope. He is closer to the stairs than the boss. Sujiro calculates the odds. Escaping to the second floor gives him the best survival chance. Without hesitation, he sprints toward the stairs. The dragon mantis roars and begins to pursue. Breathing hard, he tracks distance carefully. The boss shows no signs of catching up yet. He nears the stairs. Flashes of his companions fuel his exhausted will to push forward. Suddenly, the monster blocks his path. Sujiro halts in shock. How did it get there first? Sujiro falls, bloodied and staggering. His strength fades fast beneath the monster's brutal finishing blow. He drops to his knees, coughing blood. His blade clatters. His body can't rise again. Memories stir. A light novel's tale mirrors this. A cursed guardian teleporting before treasure seekers. Regret floods in. Sujiro curses his failure, hearing Sakura's voice calling him from beyond. Sakura's spirit embraces him. Her desperate plea reaches his heart. He can't fall, not yet. Shocked, Sujiro realizes the voice wasn't imagined. Sakura truly spoke to him just now. Sakura's presence appears. Her words reignite his will. He can't afford to fall yet. He inspects the blade. Sakura's magic evolved. Her power surged from being soaked in blood. While the dragon mantis searches, Sakura advises to see it. Sujiro uses medicine to restore strength. His bleeding slows. With the enemy distracted, Sujiro crouches watching, planning, waiting for the final strike. Sujiro checks Sakura's status. Her new skills include invisibility, agility, and mutual understanding. He observes the dragon mantis. It struggles to sense him, mistaking walls for movement patterns. Sakura warns him her invisibility is weak. A wrong step will instantly reveal his position. The dragon mantis locks eyes. His moment to act is now. Stealth ends. Combat resumes. With firm footing, Sujiro prepares for a final confrontation, stepping into battle stance again. Sujiro evades as Sakura shouts instructions. He waits for the boss's blind opening. His coordination falters. The blood loss disorients him. Sakura warns he is seconds from being hit. Dizzy and weakened, he stumbles. His awareness fades while the monster's attack approaches. The blow lands hard. Sujiro is launched backward, crashing across the stone floor. Wincing in pain, he checks his body. The large sword saved him from death. Sujiro gasps. His bastard sword snaps in half. He is left stunned, holding only a hilt. He laments the broken blade. He hadn't even given it a proper name. His regret fades as the dragon advances. Sakura yells to focus. Sujiro prepares, trembling. Just before impact, Hataru appears. Sujiro realizes he is unharmed. His allies have arrived just in time. Hataru steps forward, sword drawn. She declares leadership of the battle to turn the tide. Hataru assumes command. She orders allies to treat Sujiro while she confronts the floor boss. Sujiro panics over Hataru's injury, but she insists he focus on recovery, not her. Reluctantly, Sujiro retreats to recover, trusting the fight to Hataru's capable and composed hands. Hataru, though human in form, still retains sword traits, but now she bleeds and feels pain. Sujiro blames himself for her suffering. Another sword spirit regrets not evolving to help sooner. Sestina reunites with Sujiro joyfully. She had feared the worst, but now embraces him safely. Sestina begins healing Sujiro. He thanks her while trying to stay composed despite emotional strain. She explains their encounter with another party and Hataru's skill guiding their timely arrival. Using a magical party ring, they manage to teleport and reach Sujiro just in time. Reflecting on his survival, Sujiro feels deep gratitude toward every ally who supported him. Hataru watches silently from afar, her eye fixed on the bond between them. Hataru leaps forward, ensuring the dragon is drawn away while Sujiro receives healing safely. The dragon crouches low, watching Hataru intently, trying to lure her closer with deceptive stillness. Hataru advances with caution, unaware of the dragon's planned strike hiding behind its slow movement. A sudden wind blade slashes her side. Hataru reels back, stunned by the unexpected speed. Recognizing the danger, Hataru retreats quickly, realizing repeated wind strikes might shred her outfit completely. Hataru observed the dragon's arm design, calculating its weakness while barely dodging the creature's strike. She identified the vulnerable head area, launching a high-speed counter while others admired her strength. Sestina questions Sujiro's thoughts on the floor boss. He admitted its raw power impressed him. Sestina explained her defensive tactics against the boss, noting her attacks lacked real penetrating force. Sujiro analyzed the group's strength, concluding only Hataru and Sakura could significantly harm the enemy. A fierce beast lunged forward. Sestina held ground, unsure if magic alone could stop it. Sujiro clutched a fire gem, knowing enchantment might work but at risk of draining his life. Before he acted, Sestina embraced him tightly. He froze, torn between fighting or fleeing together. She whispered resolve. Sujiro realized he was hiding behind excuses, and she saw through everything. Encouraged by Sestina's warmth, Sujiro stood tall again, no longer afraid, but finally ready to fight. United in spirit, Sujiro and Sestina drew blades, prepared to charge through danger without hesitation. They planned their formation carefully. Sestina up front, Hataru as main attacker, Sujiro distracting behind. Sujiro sprinted forward, pain receding fast thanks to Sestina's magic healing skill during earlier support. Sakura readied her enchantment. Hataru smiled with confidence. Sujiro finally stepped into his battle rhythm. With roles set, Hataru praised his growth. Sujiro nodded, determined to land the final blow. Sestina blocked the beast's charge, allowing Hataru to prepare her strike from a distance. Sujiro activated Sakura's stealth technique, launching quick surprise attacks from the dragon mantis' unguarded flank. He lunged low, blade flashing, targeting the creature's left leg to cripple its movement instantly. The dragon mantis shrieked as pain surged through its wounded leg, breaking its defensive stance. Sujiro watched closely. The plan worked. The monster faltered, giving Sestina a perfect chance to counterattack. The creature staggered. Sestina yelled for everyone to press forward. Their relentless attacks exposed an opening. Hataru leapt without hesitation, sword raised to strike. Everyone's eyes locked on her sudden dive. But it was a trap. The dragon mantis twisted, launching Hataru into the air violently. Sojiro froze. Reality sank in. Hataru was down. The monster now turned toward them with fury. Clenching his fists, Sojiro demanded the magic gem. He refused to stay passive any longer. Sakura's body surged with magic. Sojiro triggered transformation, embedding the gem to awaken her. Sakura's body surged with magic. Sojiro triggered transformation, embedding the gem to awaken her. She kept the monster distracted with swift attacks, avoiding direct contact while launching ranged strikes. With confidence in her new strength, Sakura vowed to defeat the floor boss with magic. Sakura stayed hidden, confident. Her vow was clear: eliminate all threats blocking Sojiro's path. She launched fire release arrow rain, landing multiple hits before the dragon mantis could react properly. Seeing the creature stagger, Sakura called out to Sojiro, readying him for a coordinated strike. Sestina shouted the signal. Hataru and Sojiro prepared for the final blow against the beast. Hataru hesitated, remembering her earlier mistake. She was injured while shielding Sojiro from a deceptive attack. Hataru sat wounded, blaming herself. She believed her weakness caused their dangerous situation and losses. Sojiro encouraged her, reminding her she'd survived intense battles after only one training week. He acknowledged her natural talent. Hataru smiled faintly, slowly regaining belief in her own strength. With resolve, Sakura invoked another spell. Her fire magic surged with renewed intent to strike. The fire lance exploded forward, smashing into the beast's side with concentrated force. Sakura's attacks were effective, but Sojiro worried she was becoming overly aggressive and exposing herself. Hataru sensed danger. Sojiro froze. Something shifted. She warned him the creature was preparing a move. The dragon mantis curled its body tightly, pulling in limbs. A strange humming pressure filled the air. Its eyes flickered ominously. Energy built up rapidly, signaling that a special technique was coming. Sojiro assumed it was defensive, confused by its stance, unaware it masks something much more dangerous. Sakura's earlier magic had shattered the creature's outer armor, forcing it to reinforce defensively. Seizing the moment, Sakura and Sestina launched synchronized attacks, aiming at its newly hardened shell. Their blows struck the toughened surface repeatedly, each hit leaving visible cracks and weakening points. Sojiro, observing the momentum shift, felt hope rise. They had the upper hand at last. But the monster's body tensed further. Despite cracks forming, it stubbornly resisted every incoming strike. Sojiro's eyes locked on the beast. It was twitching unnaturally, as if swelling internally. The dragon mantis began inflating with power. Sestina screamed a warning. Its next attack was imminent. A massive energy burst exploded from its body, launching shockwaves in every direction around them. Both Sestina and Sakura were knocked back, groaning in pain from the overwhelming energy blast. Sojiro staggered, wounded. Hataru collapsed unconscious. The team was suddenly scattered and severely weakened again. Fury surged in Sojiro. Seeing his companions hurt, he charged at the monster without hesitation. He called out to Hataru Maru, reaching for his last hope, his sword spirit barely holding together. Hataru Maru responded with devotion, gathering her remaining strength, ready to assist her master once again. With blade drawn, Sojiro stood firm. His body trembled, but his eyes locked on target. Knowing Hataru Maru could only strike once, Sojiro prepared everything for one decisive final blow. Sakura's magic tore through the monster's defenses, forcing it to solidify its armored scales. With a fierce cry, Sakura and Sestina leaped forward, coordinating their next magic-infused attacks. Their combined strikes hammered against the beast's reinforced hide, creating small but crucial fractures. Sojiro observed their efforts with hopeful resolve, realizing the tide of battle was changing. Despite the monster's hardened shell, the cracks widened, revealing a weak spot within its armor. With a furious cry, Sojiro leaped and drove his blade into the monster's skull. The boss's power surged, each strike shaking the cave as Sojiro braced his wounded body. Despite the pain and fatigue, he tightened his grip, refusing to collapse under the pressure. Sojiro adapted to the boss's new speed, predicting and dodging each sharp and violent assault. Seeing the creature's frustration grow, he prepared one decisive blow, channeling every remaining ounce of strength. With one fierce strike, Sojiro's blade pierced through the beast, silencing its roar in an instant. Darkness surrounded the room as the sound of footsteps echoed across the wooden floor. He awoke in an unfamiliar bed, disoriented, as a worried maid approached quickly. Still confused, he exchanged morning greetings while the maid scolded him in panicked disbelief. She explained he had been unconscious for 2 days. Her concern had never faded. Grateful for her care, he gently embraced her. Both were relieved he had survived again. She cried with relief, clinging to him tightly, thankful he survived the brutal battle. While she recovered beside him, him, the sentient swords rested nearby, undergoing magical weapon restoration alone. He reflected on their struggle, valuing survival, and how they held on to their core values. Wanting comfort and honesty, he invited her beside him, gently asking about the battle aftermath. Blushing but resolute, she agreed and climbed into bed, ready to finally share everything quietly. Sujiro noticed her stirring in bed, quietly acknowledging her bravery with a calm, steady gaze. Hataru awakened in full form, reassuring Sujiro that both she and Sakura recovered completely. Despite her injuries, Sestina insisted on helping, still unaware she should be resting instead. Hataru explained that Sujiro collapsed right after slaying the floor boss in close combat. Sestina pushed her limits, carrying the unconscious party while dragging their weapon forms along. A wounded warrior stepped forward, offering help. Her regret was genuine, her words finally sincere. Sestina smiled warmly, recognizing her presence earlier. The newcomer begged to help them now too. Together they supported each other towards safety. Promises were made, secrets were kept between trusted companions. At the inn, Sestina reported their victory. A reward from Reitok's lord awaited them later. Sestina sacrificed herself to heal Sujiro, cycling her mana again and again until exhaustion. Sakura recovered swiftly and responded eagerly. Sujiro brought up Fry, his tone suddenly serious. Though freshly healed, Sakura accepted the task cheerfully and dashed out on Sujiro's request. Sujiro admired her speed while Hataru silently watched, sensing deeper meaning in what followed. Hataru questioned his motives. Though she informed him first, she doubted Fry deserved such effort. Sakura set off into the night to uncover Frey's reason for stealing her. Fry confessed her failure. She believed another force had manipulated her into betraying their trust. Punished and humiliated, Fry cried for forgiveness. Hataru questioned if eliminating her enemy was justified. Hataru, filled with emotion, kissed Sujiro unexpectedly, unsure why her feelings had suddenly grown stronger. Hataru hinted at knowing how to help. Sujiro smiled softly, grateful for her loyalty. Sakura returned swiftly, reporting her findings. The man behind it all was truly despicable. Sakura was surprised by what she heard, realizing things weren't as simple as expected. Sujiro asked calmly where everyone was. Sakura hesitated, unsure how to explain the situation. The girls left for private discussion. Hataru encouraged Sujiro to show Sakura appreciation in return. Sakura admitted her true feelings, wanting his attention during her first time. Sujiro embraced her tightly. Their lips met in a sincere kiss, confirming their growing bond. Sakura embraced him closely, requesting he call her as he did during battle, warmly and respectfully. Sujiro accepted without hesitation, showering her with affection, whispering her name with steady conviction. Tears welled up as Sakura suddenly apologized for killing him once. Her guilt remained deep. Sujiro realized the past still haunted her. That memory lingered silently between them, unresolved pain. He reassured her gently, grateful for their bond, expressing love without hesitation or blame anymore. Sujiro, emboldened by emotion and recovery, confessed his longing with playful honesty, leaning toward Sakura. Sakura welcomed his affection, urging him to give everything just as he did for Hataru. They lay together, sharing warmth. Sakura teased him, praising his passion and how it overwhelmed her. Afterward, Hataru revealed the truth. Frey's brother wasn't medicated. He had been slowly poisoned instead. Wanting peace, Sakura dismissed the past. Fry watched, puzzled, as silence settled over the night. News of Bart's death shocked Frey's followers. Confusion and panic spread among the freed crowd. Fry investigated, suspecting expert assassins. Bart's defenses were tight. Only a few could have done it. Her suspicion narrowed to Hataru and Sakura, girls with the rare power to become weapons. Back in the cabin, a sword materialized. Sujiro and Sakura watched its form appear. Sujiro summoned a new blade. Their next journey would include another companion. Sujiro woke up beside Sestina, surprised. She questioned him warmly, catching him mid-status check. While reviewing his skills, Sujiro noticed a newly unlocked ability, magic sword summoning. He smiled confidently, deciding to try it. Sestina suggested it might welcome a new companion. Sujiro focused his energy, activated the spell, and successfully summoned a mysterious glowing sword. The sword materialized into a new girl. The others gathered, intrigued by her silent arrival. Sujiro examined the sheath blade carefully, questioning Hataru if she recognized the old weapon. He recalled choosing between swords as a child, unsure which one his grandfather truly intended. Using weapon appraisal, Sujiro identified the sword as Nikusukazen with dark elemental abilities. He was shocked the sword belonged in a national shrine. Was there actually a replica? The girls confirmed its historical origin. Sujiro ranted, cursing his grandfather's casual handling of heritage. Sujiro clutched the sword carefully. Hataru called his name, her tone holding subtle tension. Without hesitation, Hataru suggested returning the old sword, masking concern beneath a calm expression. She challenged challenged its value, comparing history and youth, while Sujiro laughed and reassured her kindly. Hataru, feeling proud, reminded him the sword lacked real combat use unlike her own experience. Overcome with emotion, Hataru clung tightly, asserting her superiority and reminding him of his choice. Hataru clung to Sujiro, declaring dominance despite her age, claiming eternal youth through battle. She laughed freely at her rival, while Sujiro watched her enjoy the chaos unfolding. The sword's old rivalry resurfaced. Playful insults echoed, revealing their past bickering in the storage house. Sujiro's spirit manifested confidently, mocking Hataru's lack of grace and challenging her as a woman. Suddenly flustered, Sujiro apologized nervously to Sujiro, catching everyone off guard with her abrupt humility. Sujiro offered to rename the sword. Hataru watched happily while the new girl agreed cheerfully. He considered names thoughtfully, tying history and meaning to the sword's Tokugawa origins and symbolism. With excitement and clarity, Sujiro raised the sword and named her Aoi from now on. The spirit of the sword blushed with joy, overjoyed by her elegant and respectful name. Grateful and proud, Aoi pledged her loyalty. The others welcomed her as part of the family. Sujiro warmly welcomed Aoi. She promised dedication, determined to outperform her rival's sword companion. Hataru questioned the situation. Sujiro, caught off guard, admitted he had absolutely no clue. Sujiro recalled their recent encounter, a deadly battle with a monster that nearly killed everyone. Aoi hesitated, surprised. Even the monkey rival had nearly fallen in that brutal encounter. The others confirmed it. Fierce battles were common and surviving them was part of life. Sujiro asked Aoi for strength in battle, requesting loyalty without complaint or hesitation. Hearing his words, Aoi stood in stunned silence, moved by his sincere determination. Sujiro ended the talk, turning to meet the local lord with unfinished words to others. Hataru, reflecting quietly, wondered if that brave young man was still the sword-loving boy. Aoi smiled gently. Suzuru had grown strong and kind, and both of them felt genuinely blessed. Sakura teased Hataru, noting that she seemed to regret missing Suzuru's development into a capable man. Left alone with her thoughts, Aoi admitted her good fortune. Unlike those who had been left behind, she had been chosen once more. With completely sincere intent, Aoi pledged her loyalty and strength, prepared to stand and fight alongside Suzuru. Suzuru expressed his gratitude warmly. Hataru, still sulking, was lightly reprimanded for prolonging the situation too much. Their journey then continued. With admiration in their eyes, they approached the grand mansion of the Lord. Inside the Lord's mansion, the group observed the busy atmosphere filled with nobles and servants. A serious maid delayed their meeting. Suzuru agreed to wait, sensing the tension in her tone. She reported that the Becker family's son had recently died in a suspicious accident. Although it was a tragedy, some considered the death justified. The group responded cautiously to the implication. While they waited, Suzuru noticed Sestina staring at him intently, as if she suspected his true identity. Everyone gathered in the lounge, where Sestina calmly addressed Suzuru and Sakura with importance. While having snacks, Sestina directly asked about Bart Becker's fate, suspecting Suzuru's involvement. She then began recounting Frey's story, explaining how Frey confessed her struggles after escaping from the tower. Frey had been forced to work under Bart to support her sick brother, all while hiding her suffering. Sestina stated her own involvement in the matter, offering to share responsibility for Frey's burdened decisions. Suzuru gently reassured Sakura, patting her head and asking everyone to reserve judgment until more was known. A masked guest thanked Sakura for her efforts, and she acknowledged it with quiet confidence. Sestina suddenly thanked her sister warmly. Sakura smiled, surprised but pleased by such a rare expression. Suzuru watched the moment with ease, feeling content and appreciating how smoothly everyone had come together. Suddenly, the Lord of Raytalk, Isaac Diarca, arrived with a loud, energetic presence. Lord Isaac Diarca made a grand entrance, expressing gratitude for their defeat of the tower boss. The maid immediately scolded him for improper manners, insisting that he behave appropriately as a host. Isaac acknowledged Suzuru's importance, thanking him for preventing greater damage and maintaining peace among young adventurers. Suzuru responded modestly, stating that they had acted under Isaac's authority to conceal their identity and intentions. Isaac agreed to keep it secret, promising to protect their identities until they decided to reveal them. Rumors about the danger in Raytalk spread further, threatening the economy and discouraging explorers from returning. To maintain stability, Lord Isaac offered generous rewards in exchange for secrecy and cooperation. He handed over sacks of small coins, amounting to nearly 5 million yen for easier handling. Aoi warned about the monster patterns inside the tower. Lord Isaac arranged a team for extermination. With their power weakened after descending floors, the tower temporarily halted its aggression, granting a short period of peace. Sestina strongly objected, arguing that hiding the truth would put rookies at risk when entering the tower blindly again. The Lord insisted that that novices were still necessary. Without them, monsters would break through defenses and destroy the city. Reluctantly, Sestina accepted this, though it pained her, as she understood that silence was needed to maintain order. Suzuru realized that fear spreads quickly. Without new recruits, explorers would disappear and monsters would overwhelm humanity. They quietly left the room. Sestina watched them go, carrying the weight of truth and unavoidable compromise. Sestina gently touched his hand, sensing the strength forged through constant battle. Suzuru planned to personally thank Wilsand for helping them clear their debt and move forward. He hoped to request a place where everyone could live together peacefully. They dreamed of moving to Hasselger, building a bath, and living together as one family. They joked together, imagining the future, while accepting that time would change them but their bonds would remain intact. Suzuru guided the girls into a shop, intending to better understand Aoi's tastes through shopping. He asked Aoi about her hair, thinking about its length, shine, and overall beauty with curiosity. Amused, he also noticed Aoi's competitiveness with Hataru and kept reflecting on how she might look in his imagination. He found a comb he believed would suit her. Aoi accepted it, clearly moved and grateful. Despite some light teasing, Aoi received the comb as a gift and felt a quiet sense of pride and happiness. Sestina led them to the Reitok branch of the base company to continue their plans and formal requests. The receptionist greeted them warmly and offered a wide range of services, from trade support to housing assistance and relocation. Staff members soon arrived and invited them inside, and Suzuru's group followed without hesitation. Inside, Suzuru thanked Wilson for his previous help, wondering how he had succeeded despite his travels. He sincerely expressed gratitude for Wilson's assistance to Sestina, acknowledging help given without expecting anything in return. Sestina explained that Suzuru's life had been in danger, and only Will's intervention made his recovery possible. Will explained his motivation, stating that he admired how the novice party succeeded despite overwhelming crises and odds. They had not only survived but cleared monster floors and exceeded all expectations, and Will proudly declared himself their first supporter, introducing the concept of a fan from his homeland. Accepting the title, Will joyfully pledged loyalty to Suzuru's party, calling himself their proudest supporter. Suzuru paid off the party rings ahead of schedule. Will accepted the payment with visible pride and satisfaction. The fulfilled contract released Sestina from penalties, and they prepared to upgrade to 4-member party rings. With a smile, Will agreed to the exchange and quickly arranged the creation of the new rings. Each member received a ring, sealing their bond as a unified 4-person party. The rings linked their senses, allowing each girl to feel a deeper connection with Suzuru and with one another through magic. Suzuru asked Will to assist them with relocation and to establish contact with the main office of the base company. Will agreed, but warned that Herzweger was a popular city and finding affordable housing there would be difficult. Sestina stepped forward, prepared to present their funds and resources to support the relocation process. Will was surprised by the amount of valuable assets they offered, including stacks of coins and rare materials from recent battles. Re-energized, Will declared that he would secure the best possible home in Herzweger, now fully motivated and confident. The group celebrated their progress, realizing they had earned enough to purchase a home, and excitement filled the atmosphere. Hataru insisted that the future house should include a garden to support Suzuru's daily combat training. Sestina expressed her wish for a kitchen so she could cook for everyone, and Suzuru readily supported her idea. Suzuru embraced Sestina in gratitude, while the others observed the moment warmly, moved by their closeness. Jealous, Hataru immediately stepped in to demand attention as well, reminding him not to exclude her. The situation quickly intensified as emotions overflowed, blending closeness, affection, and laughter among everyone. Boundaries began to blur as trust deepened, and each of them expressed devotion in their own way. Later, they rested together in silence, a heavy calm settling in as thoughts moved through their minds. Suzuru decided to reveal his past, and Sestina listened closely, sensing the weight of what he was about to share. Suzuru woke up in a strange ruin, his sword lying beside him, confused yet uninjured and alone. Suddenly, a knight attacked without warning. Suzuru barely managed to block with the sword at his side. He evaded sharply, clashing blades with the knight and gradually recognizing the fighting style from earlier training. A brief pause in the battle revealed the knight's identity. Sestina, who had been testing his swordsmanship abilities. Satisfied with his reflexes, Sestina lowered her sword and confirmed that he had passed her silent evaluation trial. She smiled gently and reassured him that she was not angry, though her sudden closeness still caught him off guard. He tried to justify himself verbally, implying that keeping secrets was normal, but she responded with subtle, careful guilt. From above, two swords observed the situation, commenting that the maid was not one of them but was gradually getting closer. That night, Suzuru explained the truth, stating that she had died young after being killed in cold blood by her father. Reflecting on his childhood, he recalled always feeling like an outsider, never truly belonging in that peaceful peaceful world. She remembered her own family history, rooted in military tradition, filled with countless swords, and a father who disappeared early. When robbers attacked the storehouse for the swords, she defended it but ultimately died by a strike from her father, and despite the fatal injury, she still wished to protect the family that had abandoned her. To the sword spirits, that storehouse had become her real home, valued more than her own blood relatives. He admitted that his own family was also distant, and in silence their hands met, both carrying the weight of broken pasts. She gently reminded him that despite blood ties, he had already protected those who truly mattered to him. Those important connections were Hataru, Sakura, and Aoi, who were not just companions but his family. With a soft smile, she sincerely praised him, and for the first time he felt genuinely acknowledged. He imagined a world of freedom where no expectations controlled him, and where his choices had meaning. Remembering his death, he stated that this world was his new beginning. While she looked at him, confused yet slightly moved, she laughed awkwardly, unable to understand terms like reincarnation or planet, which made little sense to her. He tried to explain seriously, but her confusion only deepened as she struggled with concepts like Earth and another world. She insisted she believed him despite how strange it sounded, while he admitted there were no books explaining reincarnation. Gradually, she began to understand, connecting his clothes, questions, and words to the strange things she had noticed before. Using a ball, he demonstrated the idea of planets, explaining them as round worlds like theirs existing in vast space. She blinked in confusion and asked why people standing on a planet did not fall off. He encouraged her to look up at the sky, explaining that the glowing points were stars and other planets. Understanding slowly appeared in her eyes as she realized the lights above were distant worlds similar to his. Happily, he described Earth as his origin, a rare distant planet drifting among countless stars. Softly, she admitted she now understood, though his words expanded her perception of the world beyond the stars. She took his hands excitedly and summarized the cosmos, but beneath her smile a quiet worry began to form. He gently reassured her that he had no intention of returning to Earth or to his former life. Surrounded by his companions, she smiled brightly, accepting this world as her chosen place and new life. The swords joined them, and with no secrets left, she was fully accepted as one of them. Sakura jumped down impulsively in excitement. Although she was scolded, her energy made everyone laugh again. Sujiro asked about her confusion, noting she had never heard terms like ninja or Nahantu before. Sestina, now intrigued, calmly explained that Nahantu referred to a traditional Japanese sword-making technique. As she processed this information, a faint glow appeared, signaling that something within her was beginning to change. A new status screen appeared, showing her updated traits and the emergence of a new ability called Wisdom Archive. Moved by his story, she had unknowingly awakened a new power that allowed her to understand foreign knowledge. With Wisdom Archive unlocked, Sujiro could now communicate freely, and Sakura eagerly joined in the excitement of learning. When they arrived in Hasselger, the group admired the bustling market city, its architecture, and lively atmosphere. A local guide explained the city's layout, including beaches, towers, and resources that supported its rapid development. The wider world unfolded before them: ports, mountains, towers, and fields, each region playing a key role in trade. Later, they visited the beach, where the girls relaxed while Sujiro drifted into a peaceful, satisfied daydream. The group enjoyed the beach, laughing together while Sujiro ran as the girls playfully chased him. The girls called out to Sujiro, encouraging him to join their lighthearted beach games and mischief. Sestina rested nearby and asked for sunscreen, trusting him completely as they spent quiet time together. While they applied lotion, the girls teased him, and their closeness created an awkward yet unspoken tension. The playful situation quickly turned chaotic. Sujiro, embarrassed yet smiling, was overwhelmed by their attention and affection. A sudden visitor arrived, and an emotional reunion revealed Will's father, a respected merchant named Anak. While Sujiro was momentarily distracted, Sestina successfully negotiated the gem sale using her strong communication skills. The rare magic gem was finally sold, and Will's tears marked the end of his training period. With the Bays family's support confirmed, the party secured new allies and stronger financial backing. With sufficient funds now available, the group happily began searching for a suitable home. Sujiro studied the city map of Hresvelger, planning their next steps through unfamiliar streets. Sakura noticed Sestina letting out a sigh, realizing the rapid changes had clearly overwhelmed her. They discussed the large earnings and towering buildings, details that Sestina still struggled to fully grasp. She gradually realized that Sujiro's calm reaction came from his experience with even larger worlds and structures. Moving confidently ahead, Sujiro led the way, appearing to the others like a man who had been reborn. The group gathered outside, reviewing house blueprints and considering a permanent base for their future. Each girl proposed different ideas: an attic space, a combat garden, a larger kitchen, or even private rooms. Sujiro rested nearby, quietly enjoying the scene as their chaotic house hunt became unexpectedly entertaining. A large mansion caught his attention, though its description suggested a disturbing hidden flaw. Standing before the gate, they learned it had once been a noble estate abandoned after a tragic incident. The caretaker explained that hot water had suddenly erupted from underground, filling the entire property with steam. Although no one was injured, the mansion was abandoned and left untouched after the mysterious eruption. Intrigued and hopeful, the group decided to inspect the grounds, suspecting it might be a natural hot spring. Among the ruins, Sujiro and the sword woman knelt near the steaming ground, confirming its natural heat. She smiled softly and promised him that he would finally get a relaxing bath, just as she had once promised. Together, they began drafting renovation plans, including indoor and outdoor baths, stone storage areas, and sulfur-blocking ventilation systems. They also considered their future workload and discussed hiring several maids to help maintain the estate and daily life. One companion, overly attached, strongly insisted that no one else was needed except her and Sujiro. Suddenly, more girls appeared, revealing they had been watching the entire situation unfold in silence. Despite the chaos, the group ultimately agreed that the mansion, along with its strange past, would become their new home. The caretaker happily agreed to handle construction, furniture, and all renovation work without hesitation. Just a few days later, the mansion was fully transformed, with kitchen, courtyard, and hot springs beautifully completed. The group celebrated with joy, grateful for their new home and the speed and quality of the work. One girl proudly announced that she had learned budgeting after secretly adding a room with hidden mechanisms. Sujiro was confused by the invoice, realizing that the costs came from her playful and complex renovation ideas. The workers, moved to tears, praised Lady Sakura for inspiring them and improving their craftsmanship skills. Overjoyed, they celebrated Sakura, lifting her into the air while she enjoyed the enthusiastic praise. Sujiro, still dazed, was teased by the girls for blushing and once again acting as if he were in love. Finally, the moment arrived as Sujiro stepped into the hot spring, feeling fulfilled after all their hard work. The girls joined him, relaxed and playful, turning their new bathhouse into a warm and peaceful paradise. As Sujiro relaxed in the spring, she confidently joined him, breaking the calm and adding a subtle tension to the atmosphere. Sitting close beside him, she teased him gently, creating an awkward warmth that went beyond the hot water itself. Another girl suddenly jumped in with a loud splash, disrupting the moment with carefree energy and laughter. One companion reacted strongly to the heat of the bath, her expressions drawing curious attention from the others. Surrounded by warmth and teasing comments, Sujiro struggled to stay composed as the quiet tension gradually deepened. Leaning in close, she whispered reassurances, testing Sujiro's resolve amid rising heat and steam-filled anticipation. He carefully stood up and asked for help, worried that the restorative water might overflow. The others responded calmly. Two of them assisted him gently, their care easing the tension while keeping a respectful closeness in the shimmering spring. Soft encouragement followed, inviting Sujiro to relax, trust them, and let go of his remaining worries. Surrounded by his companions, he exhaled deeply, acknowledging the strange harmony and comforting warmth of their bond. Under the moonlight, the group gathered and tested their trust through a playful and unexpected bonding challenge. Laughter and teasing intensified as roles shifted, with one girl boldly taking control of the situation. Caught off guard, he struggled as she leaned closer, the tension between them quietly rising. With the rules changed, sight was replaced by touch as they carefully explored emotions hidden behind playful dares. Following instinct, he recognized a familiar warmth, reminders of trust built through unspoken understanding and closeness. Sestina, usually the one who gave support, finally received warmth in return, strengthening trust through quiet intimacy. Embarrassed, yet open, she expressed herself freely as her barriers slowly faded away. Observing him closely, she felt admiration mixed with surprise, each detail deepening their growing connection. With calm care, she offered to guide him, and with steady hands and affection, though blindfolded, he relied only on touch, experiencing moments of tension between comfort, closeness, and shared vulnerability. The evening deepened, and layers of control slowly faded as trust guided each movement through silent understanding. The night continued under moonlight, with everyone drawn together through exhaustion, warmth, and steady rhythm. Morning arrived filled with laughter, and the strength they shared the night before had turned into gentle affection. Sujiro greeted the new day with renewed energy, ready to lead and train without hesitation. With clarity and calm, he moved forward, confident and changed by what had happened the night before. Two experts arrived in town, masters of magical artifacts and crafting, summoned for a confidential mission. Sujiro arrived at the village outskirts, where three women were already waiting beside a large building. Caught off guard by the unexpected reception, Sujiro stared in confusion, unsure of what was about to happen. The women introduced the place as a unique shop, combining weapon forging and magical goods for custom equipment. Sujiro considered upgrading Aoi, his sentient sword, but hesitated and asked her to remain unchanged for a while longer. He reminded Aoi that fighting alongside him meant closeness, trust, and shared danger in every battle. The group shared a light-hearted moment, teasing Sujuru while noticing that his calm words hid real tactical awareness. Their playful atmosphere was interrupted by a loud shout from the shop's irritated owner. A stern and skilled elf craftswoman named Rastilla appeared, confused yet curious about their sudden arrival. Sujuru realized the differences in naming customs in this world and quickly corrected his misunderstanding. Rastilla laughed warmly after recognizing them, revealing a more relaxed personality behind her strict first impression. Sujuru quietly reflected on Rastilla's nature, finding her far kinder and more casual than he had expected. Inside the shop, he asked about magical artifacts, curious about her true abilities and professional role. Rastilla confidently explained that she specialized in heavy magical blacksmithing rather than delicate enchantment work. The group was surprised to learn that she was married, and Sujuru in particular appeared briefly unsettled. She called out cheerfully to her husband, informing him that new customers were waiting in the shop. The black-haired traveler entered the workshop and was surprised to meet Dylan, a dwarf master of magical artifacts. Despite Dylan's impressive reputation, the traveler quietly questioned the world's naming conventions and standards for magical professions. He learned that Dylan specialized in enchantments, while Rastilla and the elf focused entirely on physical forging and smithing. Cautious yet curious, the traveler requested a demonstration to evaluate their craftsmanship before agreeing to any assistance. He presented a broken sword and asked if it could be repaired, using it as a test of their true abilities. Rastilla suggested melting it down, while Dylan stated that it had no remaining practical use. Sujuru remained silent, understanding that reforging it would erase its spirit, abilities, and everything it had endured. Rastilla identified its enchantments without using magic, but dismissed them, showing interest beyond simple technical power. Sujuru calmly explained that the sword had saved his life and was not just steel, but a loyal companion. Moved by his sincerity, Rastilla smiled gently, and Dylan prepared to begin the restoration process. Rastilla observed quietly as Dylan took the sword away, while Sujuru waited nervously under her gaze. Moments later, Dylan returned and placed 4 identical rings on the table, known as party rings. Dylan explained that the rings were designed to attract one another through mana, but excessive power could destabilize them. Sujuru handed one ring to his ally, who admitted she could not control mana well, and he reassured her calmly. He then asked Aoi, who was skilled in mana control, to charge the rings, and she complied without hesitation. Sujuru struggled slightly to maintain balance, as the charged rings felt heavier than expected once activated. Despite stumbling, he thanked Dylan sincerely, noting that the rings worked but were difficult to handle. Rastilla observed in silence, and Sujuru wondered if using enchanted rings as weights had unsettled them. Rastilla was surprised to see Dylan smile, while Dylan quietly acknowledged Sujuru's strength in bearing the mana load. And impressed, Rastilla praised Sujuru's teamwork and stated her interest in working alongside him. Rastilla invited everyone upstairs to continue the discussion, and Sujuru's party followed with curiosity and anticipation. Inside the forge room, Sujuru observed the tools and potions with admiration, while his companions looked around in amazement. Rastilla, confident and straightforward, skipped formalities and urged them to focus directly on business. Sujuru placed an order for a sword, bands, and armor, prioritizing resistance and mobility for his expanding party. He casually added a forehead protector to the request, which surprised everyone with its unusual nature. Sujuru explained that the forehead protector would be light armor with minimal defense, designed to be both symbolic and stylish. Rastilla liked the idea, imagining it especially appealing for female adventurers, while Sujuru asked for a discount. One party member requested elemental resistance enhancements for wristbands, a common necessity in deeper dungeon layers, and Rastilla confirmed it was possible. Rastilla then revealed that their team had nearly died recently, making the request feel far more urgent and grounded in real experience. Sujuru reflected on her words, recognizing that the situation echoed something familiar and triggered a quiet, lingering memory. Rastilla described their dangerous battle with an abnormal boss, noting that better equipment could have changed the outcome. Moved by their story, Rastilla offered flexible payment terms and promised to craft the highest quality gear possible. Sistina finalized the deal smoothly, and Sujuru silently admired her honest yet skillful negotiation. Sakura suddenly stepped forward, excitedly demanding new gear in the form of kunai, eager for her turn. Sujuru explained the concept of kunai, and Rastilla found it interesting despite its unfamiliar nature. Sakura enthusiastically requested magical tools for speed and concealment, and Dylan thoughtfully agreed that it was entirely feasible. Aoi calmly stepped forward next and boldly requested a magical brazier, leaving Sujuru shocked by her seriousness. Rastilla and Dylan were confused, understanding it related to breasts but not grasping its intended meaning. Sistina stepped in and clarified the concept using her advanced knowledge, earning admiration for her wisdom archive ability. Sujuru presented a diagram, and Rastilla nodded, understanding its purpose and function for women with larger chests such as Aoi. Aoi finished documenting all requested items, while Sujuru quietly drifted into thoughts about how the final products might feel in use. Rastilla and Dylan promised high-tier craftsmanship, and the party left satisfied, eager to receive their equipment. Just outside, a voice called out, revealing someone who had been tracking Sujuru and finally managed to catch up. A battered but smiling girl named Fry appeared, and Sujuru immediately recognized her, letting out a small sigh of concern. Fry was shocked when the warrior girl suddenly approached and apologized urgently, overwhelmed by guilt. As she raised her voice in public, Sujuru calmly asked her to lower it. Suddenly, a blade appeared in front of her, blocking an unseen attack and protecting her instantly. The swordswoman warned her coldly that Sujuru had spared her, but further disturbance would lead to severe consequences. Sujuru called out to Sakura, stopping the swordswoman as the tension rose and preventing further escalation. Peacefully, Sakura controlled her emotions and quietly told Fry to leave before the situation worsened. Fry stood in silence, realizing her past actions had left lasting distrust despite her sincere intentions. Sujuru acknowledged Frey's efforts, explaining that Sakura still chose to help her despite lingering resentment. Frey's stomach growled loudly, and she panicked, fearing they had misunderstood her desperate situation. Embarrassed and starving, she confessed she had spent everything to reach them and had not eaten for days. Fry resisted their kindness, insisting she had only come to apologize and not to accept their hospitality. Despite her protests, she was bathed, given clean clothes, and fed far more than she expected. Overwhelmed and embarrassed, Fry apologized again after eating everything, including Sujuru's untouched meal. Burdened by guilt, she pressed her head down and promised never again to cause trouble. Sujuru, impressed by her persistence, casually asked how she had even managed to find them. Fry explained that she found Sujuru by asking Atri and Tor at the tower. She tracked him confidently, even obtaining information from the reception desk without hesitation or embarrassment. Although not close to him, Atri and Tor were still searching for Sujuru in order to express their gratitude. Sujuru allowed Fry to bring them later, while she reacted with pure, childlike excitement. Sakura was informed that training would be cancelled for the night, and Sestina led Fry upstairs. The maid quietly warned Sujuru, urging him to carefully follow her instructions. As a fellow woman, she firmly asked him to respect their decision without questioning it. Sujuru lay alone in bed, wondering who could be approaching his door so late at night. Hearing a knock, he invited them in, surprised that it was not Sakura using her secret entrance. To his shock, it was Fry, who requested to speak respectfully and asked for only a moment. Fry revealed that she had worked for Bart in order to pay for treatment for her sick younger brother. However, Bart had secretly bribed doctors to prolong the illness and maintain control over Fry. As Bart's demands grew darker, Fry was forced into smuggling and other criminal work within the tower. Eventually, Bart pressured her to harm others, something she feared but could no longer avoid. But harming others was the one boundary Fry refused to cross, no matter the consequences. Fry resisted violence, fearing she would lose her sense of self, even if it meant saving her brother. But Bart chose another method, forcing Fry into humiliating submission she never consented to. Sujuru gently stopped her and reassured her that she did not need to continue if it caused her pain. Fry refused to stay silent, insisting on telling everything, even the parts that were most difficult to speak. With trembling honesty, Fry told Sujuru that he needed to know the full truth of what had happened. Fry sat down and began opening up about everything Bart had put her through. Bart had promised her freedom if she stole powerful relics, manipulating her through exhaustion both physically and emotionally. Despite her suffering, Fry still praised Sujuru's group for standing firm together against impossible odds. She said that watching them fight side by side had inspired her more than anything she had ever seen. Even when she was mistreated and repeatedly failed, Fry did not give up, and the next day Bart suddenly died. After Bart's death, a letter found alongside medicine revealed his crimes against many other girls. Frey's voice trembled as she thanked Sujuru and the others for ultimately saving her life. Sujuru reassured her that she and her brother were finally safe and free. Blushing, Fry hesitated but tried to express something she had long kept buried inside. Believing herself to be tainted, Fry offered herself to him, fearing her pain would make him reject her. Sujuru looked at her scars but still saw Fry as beautiful and worthy as she was. Sestina had gently prepared him beforehand, asking him to show kindness if Fry came to him that night. Fry stood trembling, vulnerable, and exposed, and asked Sujuru if he truly wanted her. He embraced her gently, and she nodded silently, overwhelmed by comfort and emotional release. Their lips met quietly, the emotions heavy yet mutual as the night settled around them. Sakura and Hitaru discussed Fry, acknowledging her feelings while teasing each other in lighthearted banter. They agreed not to blame Fry, understanding her pain and choosing to support her without resentment. Later, that night, Fry suddenly woke up in bed, flustered and embarrassed by her own reflexes. reflexes. She apologized softly, explaining that her ears were extremely sensitive and reacted involuntarily to touch. Lying beside her, Sujuru asked about her hearing, and she admitted it was exceptionally sharp. Fry admitted that her sensitive hearing had consequences, even causing her to break cultural norms by following her instincts. Smiling slyly, she told Sujuru that this situation was special and worth making an exception for. Sujuru misunderstood her meaning, and Fry quietly excused herself, hiding her amusement as she left composedly. Before leaving, she revealed that the medicine was an antidote, offering it as her final teasing remark for the night. Left alone in bed, Sujuru sighed, realizing he would never be able to keep up with clever girls like her. The next day began peacefully at the mansion, with sunlight softly touching the sturdy rooftop. Sujuru woke up to 3 cheerful girls greeting him, their morning smiles full of playful energy. Despite their teasing, he reminded them that a guest was coming and that they needed to remain composed. Shortly after, another group arrived, sharing that Fry planned to return within 3 days. They found Russ working outside, and playful teasing followed as bonds deepened within their unusual growing family. The group followed Russ upstairs, curious about the surprise she had promised to reveal quickly. She unveiled custom-made undergarments tailored precisely to each girl's figure, leaving them completely stunned. Russ shyly asked if they wanted to try them on, eager to hear their honest feedback. The girls changed excitedly, impressed by the comfort, fit, and freedom of movement. Sujuru blushed deeply as they gathered around him, showing their appreciation with fluttering emotions. Russ noticed Sujuru spacing out and called him back into the conversation. Sujuru proudly explained that he had used a magic gem to make all the outfits water-resistant for swimming. His sudden, almost manic laughter confused the girls, but it ended with a bold declaration. With renewed excitement, Sujuru invited everyone to go to the beach, surprising them with his enthusiasm. At the quiet shoreline, gentle waves greeted them as they prepared for a peaceful and relaxing day. Sistina hesitated, feeling nervous in her swimsuit, but still stepped forward under Sujuru's approving gaze. Sakura proudly demonstrated her transformation ability, surprising everyone by forming her swimsuit from her magical sheath form. Excited by the attention, Sakura suggested they dress up further, teasing playful ideas and scenarios to entertain Sujuru. Hataru Maru appeared in a sleek swimsuit, radiating confidence and elegance, instantly leaving Sujuru silently stunned. They all stared in silence, words fading as their hearts raced under the unexpected warmth between warrior and sword companion. Although cheerful and excited, Sujuru admitted he had never learned how to swim before this day. Encouraged by Sakura, he carefully followed instructions, kicking strongly despite his awkward movements in the water. Sakura, however, struggled with embarrassment and self-doubt, fearing her performance had disappointed him despite his gentle support. Hataru Maru praised his effort, appreciating the rare opportunity to teach rather than always be the follower. Underwater, they reached toward one another, building trust as they connected through hands, eyes, and silent understanding. While Hataru Maru and Sujuru shared a calm underwater moment, neither noticed something stirring behind them. Tentacles slowly emerged from the depths, creeping closer as Hataru Maru sensed an unnatural presence approaching. Sakura and Sistina wondered where their companions had gone, unaware that danger was already closing in. Without warning, tentacles suddenly wrapped around them both, dragging them downward in shock and confusion. Hataru Maru immediately realized it was a monster and began resisting, struggling fiercely against its tightening grip. The creature's tentacles coiled around everyone, leaving them suspended underwater in rising panic and struggle. As he watched helplessly, Sujuru questioned why the monster targeted only the girls and ignored him entirely. Refusing to be overpowered, Hataru Maru fought back, trying to tear the creature's limbs away with force. She noticed the monster moved with unnatural precision, targeting sensitive points without randomness or hesitation. Trapped in its grip, the girls struggled desperately as the creature pressed its advantage underwater. Sakura resisted as the monster tightened its grip, declaring that her loyalty belonged only to Sujuru. Sistina struggled against the creature, protecting herself and her clothing while trying to remain composed underwater. The monster shifted its focus, continuing its assault with precise and overwhelming force that broke their defenses. Realizing the girls were in danger, Sujuru moved forward with determination, intent on rescuing them immediately. As the monster tightened its hold, the girls braced themselves, expecting Sujuru's desperate counterattack. Seeing their critical situation, Sujuru dived back into the water, fully committed to their rescue. Despite the overwhelming pressure, the girls continued struggling against the monster's relentless attacks underwater. Sakura called out for Sujuru, reaching toward him as the pressure grew increasingly difficult to endure. With sword in hand, Sujuru broke through the water and cut down several tentacles, drawing the monster's attention. The girls saw him appear, their hope returning as they called out to him and placed their trust in him. Grasping Hataru Maru's hand, Sujuru swore vengeance, furious at what had been done to his companions. With a furious shout, he charged toward the creature's core, raising raising his sword to deliver the finishing blow. The group regrouped, united and determined, preparing a coordinated counterattack to end the threat. Sujuru and his allies readied their strike as the monstrous tentacled beast rose from the water. Hataru rushed forward, dodging violent lashes while aiming for the creature's exposed weak point. Rika quickly formed a seal, realizing they needed to force the monster upward before launching a final attack. Her fire spell exploded beneath the creature, sending it flying upward in a violent burst. Hataru unleashed her blade technique midair, preparing to finish the beast with a decisive strike. Hataru dashed through the air and released a precise draw slash, cutting through multiple tentacles in a single motion. Propelled upward by the shockwave, she prepared to deliver a final finishing blow to the creature. Descending rapidly, she delivered a crushing blow that shattered the monster's core, sending shockwaves through the area as stunned villagers cheered. As the villagers gathered in awe, Hataru calmly returned, unaware that praise was already spreading behind her. Meanwhile, Rika hid nervously, overwhelmed by attention and worried that her flashy magic might embarrass her. Noticing the villagers staring, Sujuru angrily handed Sestina a shirt and vowed to protect their dignity. He drew his blade with determination, refusing to allow anyone to leer at those he considered his companions. Leaping to the front, Sujuru and his copies moved in coordinated formation to block the staring villagers. Rika smiled at him proudly, gently reminding him that her loyalty belonged only to him. With burning intensity, she declared that their strength and devotion were meant solely for him. Hataru unleashed a zigzagging slash, cutting through enemies while weaving through the monster's remaining limbs. She turned back with a confident smile, assuring everyone that jealousy had never been a concern. The girls gathered around Sujuru, openly claiming him while expressing their loyalty and affection. Suddenly, tentacles seized Hataru from behind and dragged her underwater before anyone could react. Sujuru and Sestina rushed toward the water, realizing Hataru could not swim and needed immediate rescue. Rika reassured Sujuru and pointed ahead excitedly, revealing a new strategy to end the battle. Hataru dove forward with speed and precision, striking toward the submerged core of the sea monster. She confirmed that the creature had concealed its true weak point deep beneath the water. Sujuru leapt forward at full strength after her signal, preparing a combined attack without hesitation. Together, they struck in perfect synchronization, releasing a devastating cross slash that destroyed the monster. Sujuru dove into the water to rescue Hataru, unaware that she was already swimming confidently. He froze in surprise as Hataru swam toward him with ease, revealing she had secretly learned how to swim. They surfaced together, laughing and joking as the tension dissolved into calm, playful splashes in the water. Sestina and Rika quickly ran over, joining the rest of the group with excitement and a desire to celebrate. The group splashed around joyfully under the sun, united by victory, trust, and carefree summer energy. As peace returned, Sujuru recalled that the townspeople were now approaching to thank their heroes. To everyone's surprise, the villagers began treating the girls as sea goddesses and divine protectors. Sestina suggested escaping to another bay, having already memorized the map in case of situations like this. Sujuru noticed Sakura's snorkel drifting oddly and wondered about her strange ninja-like swimming technique. The group walked home together happily, reflecting on the battle, their laughter, and how enjoyable it had been. Before leaving, Sujuru tended to Aoi, promising to care for her while she quietly dreamed of swimsuits. As they walked along the cliffs, Sujuru praised Hataru for her bravery and unexpected progress in swimming. Hataru hesitated, unsure whether to reveal the truth about her actions during the underwater fight. She admitted that she had already known how to swim but held back so she could stay holding Sujuru's hand longer. Embarrassed yet honest, Hataru blushed deeply, revealing feelings that words alone could not fully express. Her friends teased her playfully, surprised by her rare and open emotional confession towards Sujuru. In her imagination, Hataru briefly envisioned having Sujuru all to herself, though she quickly denied the thought despite her protests. She secretly wished for quiet moments alone with him once again. Elsewhere, a mysterious group learned that Fujinomiya and his team had been located near the bay. Another party prepared to meet them, intending to personally thank the group that saved the town. A grotesque creature suddenly ambushed them, causing panic and chaos inside the hot springs. Sujuru immediately sprang into action, furious that the monster had violated his companion's private sanctuary. After defeating the intruder, Sujuru comforted his shaken companion, whose gratitude slowly shifted into a warmer, more affectionate feeling. Reassured by his protection, the girls expressed appreciation and attachment, deepening their emotional bond with Sujuru. Just as Sujuru prepared for purification rituals, unexpected visitors knocked, catching everyone off guard once again. Chaos briefly erupted when one girl suddenly stood up, shocking everyone with a bold and unexpected declaration. Hataru teased Sujuru, expressing her frustration while struggling to keep herself composed amid the distraction. Sakura eagerly offered help, trying to calm the awkward atmosphere before the guests could enter. Sujuru struggled to stay composed composed as Sakura activated a magical skill without realizing others were already approaching. Meanwhile, the new visitors stepped inside, admiring the mansion, unaware of the situation unfolding nearby. Sujuru arrived with a calm smile and warmly greeted the guests who had been waiting outside. The group bowed deeply, expressing their delayed gratitude for the assistance during a critical crisis. They explained how Sestina's healing had saved Ari, who had barely survived the chaos of the tower. Despite the danger, Sujuru's group had risked their lives, earning sincere gratitude from the survivors. Sujuru humbly explained that their actions were not purely selfless, though still genuinely guided by goodwill. Formal introductions began as Akri and Tor presented themselves, while Sujuru listened attentively. Fry encouraged her younger brother to properly thank Sujuru for saving their lives. Alric, relieved and smiling, expressed deep gratitude, though Sujuru was confused by his unusual occupational title. Fry explained that Alric's condition had significantly improved through medicine, rest, and a custom training program. Fry and Alric shared a quiet moment, silently acknowledging how far they had progressed together. Fry temporarily boosted Alric's strength, aiding his recovery and improving his mobility. After checking on Alric, Fry returned to Sujuru, who gently acknowledged her quiet dedication. Sujuru asked the group about their future plans, curious about the direction they intended to take next. Tor admitted that the tower had become too dangerous, especially after the loss of their companion Bakuju. Fry was strong, but going deeper into the tower alone remained an extremely risky option. Sujuru suggested forming a new party, proposing that Tor, Ari, and Fry unite into one group. He explained that Frey's experience would greatly benefit them, making the team more balanced and effective. Tor and Ari quickly agreed, remembering Frey's bravery during their darkest moments in the tower. Fry hesitated at first but eventually accepted the proposal, grateful for their trust and shared understanding. Joining hands, the newly formed party stood united by hardship, trust, and a common purpose. When asked about his own plans, Sujuru casually mentioned starting a 7-day training session immediately. Inspired by this, the new party respectfully asked to train alongside him and improve their abilities. After a brief tense silence, Fry agreed firmly, and the group erupted into excited enthusiasm. Tor explained his determination to help them grow stronger, noting that forming the party had originally been his idea. They said their farewells, promising to return the next day fully prepared and eager to begin training. The next morning, Tor arrived fully armored, proudly declaring that he was ready for group training. Surprised by the equipment, Sujuru asked about the armor, and Tor proudly explained his decision to invest in it. Sujuru questioned the logic, aware that Tor's role prioritized speed rather than heavy protection. Tor then revealed his full status, and his strongest skill turned out to be the humorous ability of babysitting. Despite the confusion, Tor remained firm, insisting that all swordsmen should wear armor, even if impractical. Sujuru asked Sestina to recheck Tor's status, hoping for a more accurate evaluation. Sestina confirmed the swordsman title matched Tor's claim, but the inconsistency still left Sujuru puzzled. Privately, Sujuru explained that his status screen displayed light armor swordsman rather than simply swordsman, which left him confused. Sestina suggested this might be connected to Sujuru's literacy skill, and he decided to investigate it further. She later returned with information. Ari was classified as a battle dancer, and Fry as a beast swordswoman. Fry explained that battle dancer was not unusual, as nobles often trained in dance from childhood. Sestina clarified that Ari's elegant combat style matched the title and was reinforced by her dual-wielding techniques. Sestina theorized that Sujuru's skill interpreted job names based on meaning rather than exact spelling. To test this, she asked him to read 2 identically spelled words that carried different intended meanings. Sujuru was shocked to realize he had interpreted both words differently even though they were written the same. He understood that misreading text could be dangerous and decided to verify written information through a reliable source. They then went to town, where Sujuru persuaded Tor to replace his heavy armor with lighter leather gear. Tor was stunned to see his swordsmanship and agility stats increase after changing his equipment. Training roles were assigned. Fry focused on mobility, while Ari studied healing alongside Sestina. Alric requested to join as well, and Sujuru assigned him to assist as an apprentice. Alric quickly adapted to his role, impressing Will with his sharp focus and unexpected work ethic. Will praised Alric's abilities enthusiastically, while Sujuru watched with quiet pride. Sujuru then discreetly asked Will for a favor, requesting advance payment to support the party's basic needs. Will agreed without hesitation, intrigued by Sujuru's vague mention of plans involving otherworldly essentials. As they walked, the group questioned him about the conversation, but Sujuru only smiled and gave a vague answer. After 7 days of intense training, every member had gained significant improvement in both skill and confidence. On the 7th day of training, Sujuru and his opponent honed their sword skills with fierce intensity. Sujuru swung his blade with determination, aiming to break through her defense as quickly as possible. Their swords clashed repeatedly, exchanging exchanging heavy strikes while Sujuru pushed his limits throughout the duel. The woman countered sharply, criticizing his timing and skill and forcing him to react with greater speed. She closed the distance in an instant, attacking again while stating that Sujuru's responses were too slow. Watching the exchange, another warrior expressed amazement at Sujuru's precise and rapid sword techniques. Sujuru reflected on his own shortcomings, becoming more determined to improve after witnessing their level of training. Nearby, someone relaxed in the hot spring, their voice carrying out in relief and comfort. Startled by the noise, Sujuru told the bather to stop making such embarrassing sounds while he was trying to focus. Relaxing. In the hot spring, Sujuru admitted that the intense training week had only been tolerable because of it. Sujuru praised everyone's progress, confident they would now handle the upper floors of the tower without difficulty. He thanked Hataru and the others for their support and training, including Adri's strong contribution. Sujuru revealed his doubts about continuing exploration after Baku's death, feeling shaken and uncertain. Adri encouraged him to keep going, refusing to surrender to fear despite the tower's dangers. Acknowledging Adri's stubborn determination, Sujuru resolved to grow stronger and no longer resist her challenge. Sujuru promised to protect Adri and urged her not to take reckless risks during future missions. He revealed that Baku and Adri once shared mutual feelings, surprising her during their bath conversation. Sujuru admitted he had a crush on Adri, but accepted the situation while Baku was still alive. Now that Baku was gone, Sujuru feared losing Ari to someone else, strengthening his resolve. He explained that Hataru had pushed him to his limits exactly as intended, impressed by his endurance. Sujuru admitted he was still uncertain about Ari's feelings but promised to give his best effort. His friend teased him, assuring that Ari would be taken care of properly if Sujuru ever failed. They joked about Sujuru's supposed harem while discussing the new equipment that would arrive the following day. Both agreed to give everything they had while exploring Zakiru's tower, driven by a strong shared purpose. The next morning, Sujuru left the bath and was warmly greeted by his companions, all ready for battle. Sujuru continued fighting to earn a living while protecting others from monsters, bandits, and various threats. At dinner, they celebrated Sestina's strategy of collecting magic gems and expanding the team with new members. Despite many motivations, Sujuru's deepest reason for fighting was revealed in quiet, unwavering resolve. He fought simply to wield the swords he loved, fully embracing his passion and sense of purpose. Surrounded by his friends, the group shared a joyful meal, united by strength and shared determination. Sujuru thanked Sestina for her efforts in managing chores and supporting their daily life. Sestina insisted that housework was an essential duty and wanted to handle it in her own way. Surprised by her determination, Sujuru questioned whether that was truly what she desired deep down. Her sincere expression left a lasting impression, deepening curiosity and connection between them. The bond between master and acolyte strengthened, balancing responsibility with genuine care within their home. Sujuru cherished Sestina's gratitude expressed through her daily kisses, feeling deeply supported and fortunate. The team arrived to collect newly crafted, skill-enhanced equipment tailored to their unique abilities. Sujuru admired the craftsmanship, feeling the quality far exceeded the value of their payment. The craftspeople gifted additional supplies, proud of the new techniques and goals they had developed. Fully equipped and motivated, the group prepared for their next expedition, strengthened by their bonds. The craftspeople thanked Sujuru and accepted only half the payment, promising full price in the future. Their equipment gained popularity, and the craftsmen hoped to continue producing special gear for the group. Sujuru agreed, wanting the partnership to continue so they could secure quality equipment for future journeys. The team vowed to earn more funds and outperform rivals in replicating the gear first. They hoped that hard work would pay off, promising improved equipment once materials were restocked. The group prepared excitedly to explore Sakuru's tower, anticipating the challenges ahead. The night before the expedition, they relaxed together, sharing quiet moments that strengthened their bonds. One of them admitted to pushing herself too hard, reflecting the emotional and physical strain of their journey. A companion gently advised her to be mindful of her limits in order to maintain the team's strength. Another friend, clearly exhausted, quietly asked for rest, showing mutual care and understanding within the group. As the night ended, they reminded one another to slow down and get proper rest after the long day. The next morning, the group woke early, energized and ready for new adventures. They exchanged light-hearted jokes, appreciating each other's support and the skills that strengthened their unity. One member commented on Sujuru's enthusiasm, comparing it to a child in a candy store. Others gently reminded him not to overexert himself, reassuring him that they would support him if needed. The group decided to visit Will first, as it was too early to meet Tor. Sujuru was questioned about his secret meetings with Will, sparking curiosity among the others. He prepared to reveal Will's plan, leading them into a mysterious building. Inside, Sujuru announced that Will intended to establish an adventurers guild, marking a new beginning. Sujuru realized that this world lacked proper guild systems after chaos erupted in distant Raytalk. Explorers remained vulnerable, while Lord Isaac hoarded information to maintain control and prevent independence. Sujuru discussed the guild concept with Will, proposing structured quests and stable income systems to support its operation. They envisioned economic development, regulated exploration, and identification systems that would provide reliable work for adventurers. Will was impressed, noting that although the idea resembled fiction, Sujuru's proposal had real transformative potential. Sujuru and Willmark shook hands, officially agreeing to establish the town's first adventurer guild. Shortly after, Sujuru returned with his allies to check the guild's progress and meet Willmark again. Willmark welcomed him and reported that preparations were complete thanks to coordinated teamwork and steady leadership. However, southern imports had slowed, limiting essential supplies such as medicine intended for guild trade. Despite these issues, the opening day was approaching quickly, and confidence remained high that everything would succeed. Willmark held meetings with clients and explorers, spreading awareness of the guild's upcoming launch. Sujuru was pleased to hear that explorers were showing strong interest in registration. To his surprise, he was invited to become the guild's very first registered member. Honored and slightly amused, he accepted immediately, recognizing his symbolic role in the guild's foundation. As they entered together, Sujuru chuckled, realizing how much Willmark admired him. Sujuru examined the quest board and tavern area, both of which he had previously suggested as key features. Willmark proudly introduced the reception counter, where all registrations and quest management would take place. Sujuru went through the registration process as the first adventurer, confirming the fee and completing the required steps. Willmark explained that those without funds could still join as provisional members with limited privileges. Such members would repay fees through quest rewards until they became full members. To finalize registration, Sujuru followed instructions to open his status and activate the guild card. He completed the process confidently, unaware of the effort and cost required for this final step. Guild cards required skilled craftsmen and significant funding, making their development the most challenging stage. Despite the expense, Willmark believed the final quality justified all the effort and cost involved. Sujuru looked on in awe as his name appeared, confirming his official status as an adventurer. Each card was bound to its owner's mana, preventing anyone else from activating it. Sujuru admired the forgery-resistant design, which also displayed secure guild-managed data on the back. The card recorded activities such as active quests, completed missions, and stored guild funds. All adventurers started at G rank, the lowest of 10 tiers in the ranking system. Above the standard ranks were elite tiers such as S, SS, and the highest SS-ranked adventurers. Sujuru casually expressed his dream of reaching S rank and being admired by crowds and admirers. His companions quickly teased him for daydreaming while they examined the quest board. Willmark explained that stars represented quest difficulty, though official ranks had not yet been assigned. Everyone understood, as most adventurers were still G rank and the system was not fully established. For now, available quests ranged from escort missions to retrieving rare materials from dangerous zones. Willmark emphasized that adventurers must only accept quests appropriate to their current strength and rank. Sujuru was invited to test the system by selecting a quest from the board. After completing his first registration, he thanked the receptionist, impressed by her clear and helpful guidance. Sujuru praised her performance and assured Willmark that she was fully prepared for the guild's opening. Before leaving, he mentioned that they would soon enter the tower, shifting focus to their first expedition. Sujuru asked whether his companions could register early before the official opening the next day. Willmark gladly agreed, noting it would help staff practice and improve the registration process. The party also planned to register, and Sujuru's team confirmed they would join as an official group. With preparations finished, they said their goodbyes and headed toward their next destination, the tower. As they left, Willmark praised Sujuru's new equipment and wished them success on their first mission. Sujuru thanked Willmark once more for connecting him with the skilled artisans who created their gear. Crowds had already gathered near the tower, and Sujuru noticed guild staff interacting with curious adventurers. Inside the tower area, Sujuru was warmly greeted by Tor, who had arrived earlier. Tor proudly posed with two new female adventurers, standing confidently at the center. Sujuru immediately felt irritated, wondering why Tor was casually positioned between the two girls like that. His frustration grew as he thought Tor's stance made it look like he had a harem. He approached the group awkwardly while they chatted cheerfully, unaware of his rising annoyance. Sujuru received thanks for recommending L, while Tor proudly displayed his new guild card. Sujuru invited everyone to register soon, but Tor clung to him, demanding attention he felt he had been denied. Tor questioned the purpose of the guild card, prompting Sujuru to insist they register separately later. Tor panicked and begged not to be left behind, pleading for his chance to join. Sujuru confirmed he was being intentionally strict, showing no patience for Tor's behavior that day. Meanwhile, the girls commented that Sujuru seemed more normal than even his eccentric companion. Suddenly, Sujuru was interrupted as Sestina called his name and stepped in close with serious intent. Hataru wrapped her arms around Sujuru firmly, ordering him to stop stalling and focus. The group prepared to depart, while Hataru strictly limited Sujuru's access to the hot springs. Sujuru stood before the massive sealed tower, ready to begin the long-awaited tower challenge. Zakiru assigned the first floor trial, watching closely as the group approached the towering structure. Guided inside, the party passed silent robed figures and moved toward the looming entrance without hesitation. Once inside, Sujuru noticed the robed men, and a girl explained that they belonged to the Sacred Tower Order. She revealed their doctrine that monsters are born from impurity, and killing them goes against the tower's purpose. Sujuru learned that these missionaries came from Luminitia, spreading their beliefs across tower-linked cities worldwide. When asked about faith, Sujuru hesitated, acknowledging its value but doubting blind acceptance of doctrine. He explained that when people stop thinking independently, they risk losing their own moral judgment. The girl respected his opinion and suggested her group would remain behind for the moment. Hataru called it a practical evaluation, assigning Sujuru's team leadership of the initial advance. Sujuru's party accepted the challenge, confident after their training and improved coordination. Hataru briefed them clearly: clear the floor quickly, but engage every monster encountered. One member calmly focused, sensing magical fluctuations to assess nearby threats before moving. She mapped monster positions and chose a route that maximized encounters while progressing toward the center. With the plan established, the group advanced, determined to clear the first floor efficiently. Hataru observed their movement and noted their coordination had already improved significantly. She explained that Fry led the formation due to her instincts and sharp hearing advantage. Aoi handled healing duties, while Tor stayed close behind to protect her from danger. Suddenly, Fry warned that monsters had appeared, and the group immediately prepared for combat. Two goblins charged forward, one armed with a club and the other attacking barehanded. The team immediately rushed into combat, with Tor and Fry engaging the incoming goblins head-on. Hataru instructed Aoi to remain in the rear and monitor the situation, providing support as needed. Fry dodged a charging goblin, lowered her stance, and prepared her dual blades with sharp concentration. In a single fluid motion, she lunged forward and pierced the goblin's chest with precise accuracy. Without pausing, she followed through, cutting down the next enemy while maintaining her momentum and rhythm. Tor blocked a heavy club strike from a goblin, staggered by the impact but managing to hold his position. He quickly recovered and counterattacked with a powerful slash, earning Hataru's approval for his resilience. Fry detected two Lupin monsters ahead, her hearing rivaling Hataru's magical detection abilities. Sujuru explained that her ability was acoustic enemy detection, a natural trait of her race. He added that Fry had never valued it before, only realizing its tactical usefulness in battle. Sujuru noted that her race often discouraged the ability in daily life due to privacy concerns. Two ranked tower wolves appeared, and Sujuru observed that no one objected to her using the skill in combat. Hataru smiled, pleased that Frey's ability was already proving valuable to the team. Tor charged forward confidently, now informed of the threat by Frey's warning. Aoi joined in, enhancing their attacks with magic to improve precision and coordination. After the battle, Sujuru explained that he had helped Fry unlock her hidden potential through focused training. The others became curious about their sessions, while Fry blushed and Sujuru awkwardly clarified his intentions. In private, Fry responded emotionally to Sujuru's quiet encouragement and gentle guidance during their close training. He helped her stay calm amid overwhelming sensations, allowing her to regain control of her heightened awareness. Amid the tension, he reminded her to remain composed, guiding her with steady care and restraint. Sujuru ended the intense training session, but Fry remained emotionally unsettled and reluctant for it to stop. She admitted her sensitivity was still difficult to control, which could affect her performance in real combat. Despite her hesitation, she insisted on continuing, determined to improve quickly under time pressure. Their training became more physical and focused, based on trust and pushing the limits of their partnership. They experimented with methods to help Fry adapt faster, testing her boundaries in unusual but structured ways. Sujuru's wording caused confusion, and Sestina overheard, interpreting it as something far more personal than training. Embarrassed, Sestina clarified that she was referring to tactical formations, not anything improper during practice. The frontline fighters adapted quickly mid-battle, showing sharp reflexes and strong strong teamwork in real combat conditions. Sujuru and Hataru evaluated their performance, impressed by their coordination and flexible role changes. Their final attack landed cleanly, with all three members finishing the last monster together. After a series of victories, the team celebrated with high spirits and synchronized gestures of teamwork. Hataru and Sujuru observed proudly, confirming the group had fully applied their training in combat. Sujuru noted that Fry and Aoi's calm reactions to monsters reflected their improved focus and growth. Suddenly, the floor boss appeared, a massive goblin fighter far larger and more threatening than expected. Without hesitation, the team launched their attack, spreading out tactically to draw its attention. Tor charged forward with determination, taking the lead against the powerful floor boss. Fry and Aoi followed with synchronized attacks, confident the boss would not be a major obstacle. Through coordinated effort, the group defeated the floor boss and secured a hard-earned victory. Hataru observed from behind, satisfied that they had officially passed the qualification test. The group then received instructions from Sujuru to proceed to the second floor independently. Sujuru and the others moved upstairs, clearing stronger floors and scouting more dangerous monsters for future reference. Hataru warned them to advance only with proper preparation, knowledge, and upgraded equipment to avoid fatal mistakes. Sujuru joked about Tor's recklessness, while the girls observed how their bond deepened through trust and light teasing. Tor insisted on following Hataru's instructions, choosing discipline over pride and earning quiet respect from Sujuru. After passing the test, the group received unexpected gifts similar to Sujuru's elite equipment. Sujuru explained that the new gear used impact-resistant magical or to reduce severe head injuries. The seniors had spent days rigorously training the group, pushing them to their physical and mental limits. As instructors, they chose forehead protectors as practical rewards for effort and progress. Torn between gratitude and hesitation, one member felt the equipment was too valuable to accept. Sujuru explained that the items were discounted, though the actual cost still shocked the team. Sestina revealed that each coin was equivalent to 1 million yen, making the gift far more expensive than expected. Realizing his misunderstanding of the world's economy, Sujuru panicked in embarrassment. Still, he insisted they accept the gear, requesting only future cooperation in return. Tor reflected inwardly, acknowledging that the others admired different members more, yet still wanting to improve. She expressed gratitude for their guidance, vowing never to forget the debt she owed. She promised unconditional future support, offering her strength whenever they needed it. Sakura joined in, claiming her debt was even greater and pledging lifelong service without hesitation. Sujuru smiled at their declarations but privately misinterpreted their loyalty with slight overconfidence. Tor declared that they had grown thanks to their teachers and were now capable of forging their own path. Tor made a heartfelt vow to continue supporting Sujuru with unwavering loyalty. Sujuru saw Tor in a new light, briefly acknowledging his determination and strong martial presence. Hataru teased his emotional reaction, pointing out that he was clearly moved by Tor's declaration. Reflecting on their progress, Sujuru concluded that strength grants independence, freedom, and more life choices. As they continued walking, he further realized that true power ultimately provides the freedom to choose. Sujuru remembered gaining freedom in this world and resolved to offer that same future to others. His quiet contemplation was noticed by the girls, who smiled warmly at his simple, content expression. The group prepared for guild registration, agreeing to meet again at sunset after finishing their tasks. Training continued as Hataru Maru led with detection skills, guiding them toward the 5th floor steadily. She detected fast-moving monsters ahead, and the group drew their weapons in preparation for battle. Suddenly, a group of tower monkeys appeared, charging forward with terrifying speed and loud roars. Sujuru reacted instantly, recognizing their agility and preparing for close-range combat. With 3 enemies approaching, Sestina and Sujuru formed the front line while the others adjusted their positions. Sujuru instructed Hataru and Sakura to deliver finishing attacks after the initial engagement. The team coordinated their information sharing, preparing to counterattack and neutralize the incoming threat. Sujuru activated his skill, unleashing a flash slash to test its power against the advancing enemies. The strike landed cleanly, cutting through one monster with unexpected force and precision. Surprised by the result, he checked his sword and questioned its unusually high cutting strength. Realizing its effectiveness exceeded expectations, he noticed Sestina was now threatened by 2 remaining beasts. Alarmed, Sujuru turned quickly as one tower monkey leapt directly towards Sestina. Sestina responded immediately, striking fiercely with her axe and moving fluidly with her improved combat skill. Another monkey lunged forward, but Sujuru reacted instantly and drew its attention away from Sestina. He threw a flask, using the impact to stagger the beast and create an opening for attack. Sakura supported Sestina from behind, encouraging her to finish the fight with confidence. Sestina focused her technique and brought her weapon down, delivering a precise and decisive finishing blow. Sujuru prepared to end the final final enemy, but Hataru stepped in, interrupting him with sudden urgency. Just as he raised his sword, she stopped him, her presence firm and commanding. Hataru unleashed a piercing light attack with overwhelming force, destroying the monster before it could react. Sujuru watched in shock, caught off guard by the speed and brilliance of her technique. Calm and composed, Hataru revealed her trump card, a refined light magic developed through discipline and training. The group celebrated their victory together, exchanging praise for their smooth coordination in battle. They gathered around Hataru, still impressed by her powerful magic and composed battlefield presence. Hataru explained that naming her spells helped stabilize and strengthen their effects, similar to sword techniques. She apologized for taking Sujuru's finishing blow, admitting she couldn't resist testing it in real combat. Sujuru smiled and assured her it was fine, satisfied that he had still tested his own weapon. After the battle, the group shared cheerful high fives, celebrating their successful teamwork. They regrouped around Hataru, curious about her sudden display of offensive magic during combat. Hataru explained that naming spells like sword techniques improved her control and focus. She admitted she had acted on impulse, testing her magic mid-battle and taking Sujuru's target. Sujuru reassured her again with a smile, glad to have tested his new weapon. Suddenly, a massive G-rank beast, the Tower Kong, appeared, and Sujuru stepped forward while others retreated in fear. Without hesitation, Sujuru charges. His katana pierces the ground as the giant beast slams down hard. Dust clears, Sujuru studies the beast calmly. Behind him, his ally arrives to observe the scene. With perfect timing, Sujuru leaps. He swings both blades directly at the creature's exposed upper body. His attack lands, the impact echoes through the hall. The beast collapses from the sheer force. Sujuru calmly drew his blade, piercing the monster's heart before it could react or escape. With a threat defeated, Sujuru returned confidently as his companions eagerly praised his swift victory. The team ascended the dungeon's stone stairway, proud of their bond and mission's steady progress. Inside deeper floors, Sestina and others fought skillfully while Sujuru guarded the rear with precision. On the 5th floor, a feral beast lunged. Sujuru's counterattack landed, instantly ending the monster's charge. With renewed energy, Sujuru's team advanced. Sakura's kunai and Mo's spells expanded their combat range. Sujuru admitted that adapting tactics every floor had exhausted him both physically and mentally over time. Despite exhaustion, he discussed strategy with Sestina, realizing they'd benefit from one more support ally. A mysterious girl appeared, suggesting her magic could provide the variation they needed going forward. Reaching the 6th floor, Sujuru finally relaxed, relieved their teamwork had carried them further than expected. Sujuru and his team descended the tower, preparing to regroup with allies at the main hall. At the base, familiar faces greeted them warmly, other adventurers also returning from their recent climb. Sujuru's group reported success. Sestina affirmed their battles were meaningful, nodding proudly alongside their companions. A blonde girl shared their stats. They had defeated floor bosses multiple times without major injuries. Despite past trauma with bosses, their laughter proved they'd grown stronger, facing fear with determination now. Toru and Ari once fled from a floor boss, tragically losing an irreplaceable companion. Fry, still haunted, blamed herself, believing her actions had nearly doomed the entire team once before. Sujuru realized they'd faced the boss alone, weighed by trauma, despite once fighting fine together. Perhaps they repeatedly fought not for revenge, but to prove they could trust their strength again. Sestina approved their resolve, granting permission to challenge 5 floors if they promised not to overreach. Shocked by permission, Toru questioned if their team was truly ready to reach floor 5. Hataru reassured them calmly. Monsters up to floor 5 weren't stronger than those on earlier levels. Though some enemies behaved erratically, she explained, staying calm would turn battle into valuable experience. Still surprised, Fry confirmed they cleared 5 floors in one day, defeating diverse monsters throughout. Sujuru praised the group modestly, admitting testing unfamiliar strategies had left him mentally and physically drained. Sestina gathered everyone together, relieved that their return from the dungeon had gone smoothly and safely. The group decided to visit Willmarch to sell loot and complete official guild registration duties. They received their new guild cards, officially becoming members of the city's adventurer organization. Sujuru handled the registration payment without complaint, as the guild receptionist thanked him for covering it. They promised to accept future guild missions and discussed introducing Toru's team to their allies. Sujuru met with officials, agreeing the team would actively take guild quests for faster credibility. A receptionist requested party registration details, including the party's official name and designated team leader. Caught off guard, Sujuru panicked. He hadn't thought about a name and doubted his naming sense. He gathered everyone to brainstorm together, hoping for a cool name they'd use long-term. Sakura suggested ninja-themed names, but Sujuru reminded her she was the only ninja among them. Sestina proposed a bold party name centered on Sujuru, causing immediate embarrassment and disbelief among everyone. Sujuru's side, stunned by Sestina's naming sense, admitting it was somehow worse than his own. Another suggestion came from a sword spirit about national security, leaving Sujuru completely speechless again. He nervously explained the ominous meaning behind the name, but Sestina insisted such things didn't matter in this world. Sestina calmly proposed Shinsengumi, inspired by Sujuru's name, and everyone agreed it sounded strong, cool, and balanced. Sujuru recalled the historical Shinsengumi, an armed group from the late Edo period known for exceptional swordsmanship. He noticed his own name loosely resembled Okita Soji, a famous figure associated with that group. Despite uncertainty, Sujuru admitted the name sounded fitting and decided it could work for their party. Even if few understood the reference, he felt its uniqueness made it perfect for them. Sestina approved, noting the Shinsengumi once acted as peacekeepers, matching the group's purpose and structure. She smiled warmly, saying Sujuru's sense of justice made the name especially appropriate. Sakura admitted the Shinsengumi lacked ninjas, but insisted her skills still aligned with the group's role. Hotarumaru also approved, admiring the historical loyalty of the Shinsengumi to the Tokugawa regime. Sujuru stood proudly and declared that their party would now operate under the name Shinsengumi. Sestina jokingly refused his suggestion of leadership change, insisting the role clearly belonged to him. She stated confidently that only Sujuru had the strength to lead their blades forward. She reaffirmed her loyalty, declaring him the only master worthy of her devotion. Overwhelmed by their trust, Sujuru thanked everyone and vowed to grow stronger for their sake. Together, they stood at the guild counter and officially registered the party under the name Shinsengumi. Sujuru confirmed himself as leader and submitted the final registration without hesitation. The party was officially recorded in the guild registry, with Sujuru as leader and 3 companions beside him.